Morning.
Mac, what is going on?
What's up, brother?
What is going on, man?
Oh man, I'm not going over the road today, so I started a little bit earlier.
Ah, well,
I'm already at work. Usually, I ain't I ain't even leaving the house till about 10 a.m. Eastern.
right. Well, heck. Do you do hot shots? What kind of driving you doing?
I drive an 18 wheeler.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I drive a
Oh,
sleeper. Uh,
hmm,
make a lot of runs to Illinois and back.
really?
Yep.
Do you do any like get home at the same day or same night, or do you do a lot of overnighters?
I do overnighters, but it's not a lot. Like at most, I'm required to do at least like 2 nights a week, and it's usually you know all I would do. So, I mean, with the like yesterday, Monday and Tuesday both, I did 618 miles
Man,
on both days. So, technically I was home last night, but by the time I got home, everybody was already in the bed, and you know what I mean. So, with that schedule, it feels like I'm gone 4 days a week, but technically I only sleep 2 nights away from the house a week.
yeah. All right. Well, y'all give me a real quick moment. I'll be right back.
How's the rest of y'all doing this morning?
Blessed and highly favored, sir.
What it
That's right,
do?
man.
Hey, Mac, where you at?
I'm in South Carolina right now. I'll be here all day.
South
That's
Kakalaki.
that's cool,
Yeah,
man.
Where did it
Yeah.
come from? Anybody know where it came from?
I have no idea, dude.
Ain't that
I've
what they
heard it
was saying?
all. Yeah, I heard it all. The locals will refer to it as South Kakalaki, but they don't refer to North Carolina as North Kakalaki. It's only South Carolina.
Right. I don't know where they came from. I heard it was beautiful over there though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the northern part of the state where I live, especially, you got some hills and stuff like that. Um, Lower part of the state, like the middle part of the state's just kind of flat. Got a few rolling hills, lots of pine trees, and then the further south you get, especially towards Charleston, and you start getting some of them bottomlands, like the swamps and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is it considered the South or is that considered East Coast?
No, it's everything lower than Virginia is usually considered the South.
I got you.
I think it was back in the 13 colonies, everything but counting Kentucky and Virginia, everything below them, like Tennessee, North and South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Florida, uh, Mississippi, Louisiana, all that was considered the South.
You said including Virginia and Kentucky, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think Virginia was more split though.
It's been a semester or two since I took early American history.
Yeah, Virginia, it's usually you even hear some people talk like the western half of Virginia was more southern, and in the way that they thought and things like that at the time, and then like your eastern to northeastern was more um, supported the north.
Yeah.
Eight liners all night, man.
What
Good
you say,
morning.
Flip?
How you doing?
Flip, what you
Oh,
say?
what's up, Bill?
What's going on? What's going on, Ben?
What up,
Taylor?
man?
Everything good, guys?
Oh
We're
yeah.
blessed and highly favored, sir.
Man, we got another day of life. Hallelujah to that, brother.
Hey, was there a live yesterday?
If it was, I missed it.
Yeah, yeah. No, there wasn't no life. That's for a fact.
Oh, okay.
No, I was gonna say when I went to class at 10 o'clock, nobody was live or anything.
Yeah, if I had to go to class yesterday early too at 10, I had to take that exam. Woo-hoo. I did good too, boy. Breezed right through
Yeah,
it.
I'm still in the school of hard knocks. It's probably a couple of different classes I take.
Right. Had to take
I
that
don't know. Y'all might be
descriptive.
taking them too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I had to take that descriptive chemistry exam.
Yeah, man. Subject for
You want?
anybody know?
What'd you say?
What y'all talking about today?
I don't know yet. What you been reading, Flip? Where you been at in the Bible?
Man, I'm in a story of where I'm on Genesis 40, or actually like 32, I think. Is where Jacob changed his name to Israel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm in Samuel, Second Samuel, Second Samuel. I think it was chapter 12 or 13, where Amnon,
Amen,
was
yeah.
yeah, turning back. then after he got a hold of it, he despised her. I was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, put her out and bolt the door. Put her out and bolt the door. Hey, she had a robe of many colors, just like Joseph did too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and her name means palm tree. I was like, wow, this is something else.
That's a representation of wisdom right there.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys ever heard what the definition of swaddling clothes was?
Swaddling clothes.
Yeah, like when they laid Jesus in the manger, they wrapped him in swaddling clothes.
I heard a
Uh,
couple things. I mean, you talking about the literal definition, or you talking about like the spiritual definition of it?
Literal, like what swaddling clothes was used for.
Yeah, from my understanding, it was just to wrap the newborn up tight. But it's what I heard as far as like with Jesus, they did it because him being a lamb, you know, to keep him spot free and blemish free, right? No bruises or nothing like that. I could be wrong though.
I can't remember exactly how they said it yesterday, but somebody put it in the sense of like swaddling clothes is something that would you would use to carry. Um, it was either carry a sacrifice or carry the dead or something like that. But I done forgot what they said, and I was like, man, that was actually a really good point.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and I've already forgot what it meant, so I was trying to see because I've never
yeah,
studied out swaddling clothes.
yeah. I heard it's like they wrap them up so to where cause I guess the manger's like concrete or whatever, and so They wrap him up real tight so he don't get blemished. You know, the perfect lamb doesn't get blemished.
That
It's
was.
the reason why they mentioned it. You can believe that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to look it back up because it was what they said yesterday was probably one of the deepest things on it that I've ever heard. It was
Yeah.
pretty good.
We come to worship him, born King of the Jews. Where is he? Come to worship him, born.
Hey, if this background noise gets too loud, y'all let me know. I'm messing with shipping containers today.
Mm. Hey, Taylor, you at the end of the semester too, ain't you?
Yeah, our finals are next week.
Okay.
Yeah, next Thursday.
How many
Most of the
hours you got
things
this
wrap up. There's a
semester?
couple of classes that have stuff on Friday, but most of the stuff wraps up on Thursday.
Yeah. How many hours you got this semester?
15.
Yeah, mine was up there too.
Yeah, and I got one more semester, and then I go into clinicals
Oh yeah.
starting next fall.
Moving right along.
Yeah, but it's good though because everywhere up here is looking for, or what I'm going to school for. Like
Yeah.
all the hospitals and medical centers and all of that stuff.
What is it if you don't mind me asking?
I'm going to be a invasive cardiotech.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
Invasive.
like putting
It's a
in
lot of big
pacemakers,
words.
Right?
and putting in, you know,
Oh,
central
yeah.
lines and doing heart catheters and all that stuff.
That's where the invasive comes in at, huh?
Yeah, yep.
I
Yeah,
got
because
you, I
you have
got you.
the non-invasive usually just specialize in like EKGs and cardiac sonography where they go in and they
Monitor.
yeah, yep. Just take the sonogram machine and put it over just like they look for fetal heartbeats, except for they're looking at, you know,
That,
usually adults.
yeah.
So,
That's what's up, man.
and then both invasive and non-invasive monitor patients, especially in the ICU for AFib and VFib and different heart murmurs and all the different stuff like that.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I as a
I
kid I
ain't,
wanted to be a cardiothoracic surgeon, but got to a point where, med school right now, starting med school at 35, almost 35 is a huge undertaking and I don't want to be in debt for the rest of my life. So it's like, hey, this way at least I get to help the cardiothoracic surgeon and all of that and kind of do stuff on my own in the kind of field that I wanted to be in without
yeah.
going into, you know, millions of dollars in debt.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
It's like at least this way I'm only, $60,000 or $80,000, $100,000 in debt instead of, you know, $750,000.
I feel you, man.
That's crazy, man. The price of college, you know what I mean?
Yeah, know it.
I mean, even for
It
like my
is.
wife, she originally started out wanting to be a nurse, but then quickly realized she didn't like blood and things like that. So she just closed it out, just going for just her associate's degree, just to get. I can't remember what she said she changed her thing to, but just for what little bit she went and the amount of debt she accumulated to come out and get the jobs that she could get, it wasn't. Yeah, that for what she went in debt for to what she could make was definitely not worth it. And
Yeah,
now she don't even work. She's a stay-at-home mom now.
that's right.
Hey, so the swaddling clothes, right?
Yeah,
So basically, it's derivative of, or excuse me, the number is 4683. So it's to wrap in swaddling clothes, just like of an infant that was just born. But if you go to uh, 4682, because it's a derivative of the base of 4682 in the Greek, it is to convulse or to tear or to rend. And it reminds me of how they tore Jesus' clothes when he was on the cross, you know? That's
yeah.
crazy, man.
Hey,
But
and, hey,
also his flesh.
Yeah.
and he tore the veil, right? His flesh, exactly.
Didn't they put the swaddling clothes after Jesus got flogged? Or was that a veil?
Yeah,
Oh, the grave cloths.
yeah, the
Yeah.
shroud of Turin, they call it, I guess.
Yeah, it was a shroud. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, and then the napkin, which was folded neatly at the
What?
head, signifying he's coming back. That was pretty neat, man. God is so precise. His wisdom is infinite, man. That's just amazing.
Did you guys know that the sacrificial lamb, when a new lamb was born, they would immediately swaddle the lamb as soon as it's born, and they would put it inside of a manger?
What is
Yeah,
going on?
that's what I was saying.
Yes.
That's when Mac
Amen.
was asking about it. That was the answer I gave. What I had heard. That's what it was. So they keep them without blemish.
What y'all talking about?
Jesus. We're talking about the swaddling clothes that Jesus had on when he was a baby.
Ew.
Yeah.
Well, what about them?
Mac was
You
asking
were just
about
saying how how
what's
yours
to
still
it.
fits you from many years later, and it's like a miracle.
Yeah, well, mine was given to me from a family of Nephilims, so it was easy for me to grow into it. I think it came from the son of the Drays. I think.
Yeah, Mac was asking what's to it, and he said he had heard something deep. He just couldn't remember what it was. And I told him I heard that it was, for the representation of the lamb, like what Dre just said. I told him I could be wrong though, but that's what I recall it being.
No, that's a fact, bro. I just
Well, I mean,
recently did some history on that and Jewish tradition and things of that nature, and how as soon as any lamb was born, they would immediately swaddle it because they weren't sure if it was going to be like the perfect lamb for the sacrifice. So they would swallow them, swaddle them, and then they would put them, separate them, and ensure that nothing would happen to them. And they would put them in stone mangers. You can look it up. It's a fact.
Well,
Yep.
there wasn't a lot of wood out there, so I'll throw something out there that I may be called a false prophet about later, but
You stupid.
there's not a whole lot of wood out there. So when they say that Jesus was a carpenter, when you go look up that word carpenter, it also can mean masonry.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Because
Yep.
there's a lot of stone out there, and back in the day they didn't have, wood was expensive. So this idea that the mangers were where the shepherds would look over the flock, they didn't have wooden mangers in there, dude. They were made out of stone.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so Jesus was put in a stone manger because that's where they put the lambs. That's when you look at the story and it says the city of David. That's how these men knew where to go. Because the city of David, the area, this is where they would get the sacrificial lambs from that actual area. So they knew exactly where to go. And you know, when you're not paying attention to why they're being told to go to this specific area, then you're not understanding what flock that these shepherds were looking over. They were looking over the sacrificial lambs. And that just so happened to be where Jesus was born. And that just so happened to be where he was swaddled and put. See, as soon as a baby lamb was born, they didn't want the baby lamb to hurt itself. It had to be without blemish. And if you pay attention to, like when lambs are born, a lot of animals, they try to catch their feet as quick as they can. They try to learn how to walk as quick as they can. And if you're not paying attention, they can bump something. They can hurt themselves while they're trying to learn how to walk. So what they do to get the baby to calm down is they swaddle it and they stick it in the manger that they have there, which is made out of stone. And they would keep it that way until it calmed down. And so where Jesus was born, that's all the materials they had was swaddling cloths there. And they put him in one of those mangers, just like any other lamb would have been put there. So now for him, obviously, there was hay more than likely inside the manger. And, you know, the fact that he was kind of taken care of the same way it's not a coincidence.
Amen. Just happened to be no more room in the inn.
Yeah, there happened to be so here we go with these coincidences again. No more room, nowhere for him to go. He's outside. They wrap his butt up in a swaddling cloth, just like they did a lamb. So it didn't have any blemish to ensure it had no blemish. It was no different with Jesus. Jesus had skin. Babies are more fragile than an adult, and you put some hay on the back of a baby's skin, it's definitely going to scratch him up. You know, so to wrap him in that and put him in a manger, you know, I know it looks all cute and pretty to have wooden ones. Well, we just have a lot of wood out here. So the nativity scene's easier to make with wood. It's hard to make with stone. We don't got big old stone out here, people hewing stone and stuff out here. We got a lot of wood out here. So it puts a deception in your mind to make you think that the manger was wood. And you familiar with that area where Jesus was from? There's not a whole lot of wood out there. And the manger area where he was born, they did not have wooden troughs out there. The manger was not created out of wood. It was stone. So when people say that he was a carpenter, you can use that word all you want to, but masonry is also a way that word could be used. And I guarantee you he worked with stone. I guarantee you he did. There was a whole bunch of it out there.
Josh,
What I also just read too was that even the lambs, when it come time to sacrifice them, they would swaddle them there too. They would wrap their arms and their legs. That way, you know, they could, I guess, manage them or hold them for the sacrifice. They would be bound.
Hey, Benny, you got some background noise, bro.
I bet.
Yeah,
Sounds
what
like
is
wind.
that? Yeah, it did sound like wind. I thought I was hearing something. I thought it was me or something.
Yeah, man. I'm trekking.
You're tricking.
Hey, you know
Yeah,
what it is,
but
Trop? People
uh
people don't watch the Passion of the Christ too many times, and they saw Jesus building that perfect table, and he sees
yeah,
Mary at a distance, and he
yeah.
runs to her
Hey,
and
hold
picks
on,
her
bro.
up.
Hold on a second, bro. Hold on, bro. Passion of the Christ is that's biblical, bro. That's biblical.
Right.
That's biblical. How dare you come against the movie Passion of the Christ? That's all Bible right there. So let me see. Dre, what do you want to talk about?
Um, man, hold on. You're gonna have to give
I
me a
got
second, bro.
I got it on the tip of my
He was
tongue.
talking about the soul.
No, we were talking
We
about
were?
the medium. No, we were talking about the medium.
Oh, yeah, with Samuel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saul and Samuel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? First
Necromancy.
Samuel 10, 12. Hold on, let me see. No, it's got to be
Hey,
20. Let me see.
give me a second. Give me.
All right. No, that's what it is.
Yeah.
He wanted to talk about when Saul went to that medium and talking about he wanted to talk to Samuel. Been a minute since I've been over that, but that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Hey, I got a medium right here close to where I work. I can go see if she has any insight on it.
Yeah, go ask her, say, hey, do you remember? Hey, do you recall in the day of Saul and Samuel? Can you ask one of your ancestors? Did they write a book about this? Because we really would like to hear your opinion. Because it matters so much. Yeah. Let me see.
It says, "Prove to me that
And
Jesus exists." Right?
Who said that?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I had a bad connection. But they said, "Prove to me Jesus exists." Well, I saw another guy with his background and was just calling out mediums. Come prove to me that you're a medium. And like, you know how many
Yeah.
people got
Lord
up
have
there,
mercy.
and he's like, "Nope, you're wrong. Nope, you're wrong."
How about the guy on the lives that are going in? I forgot his name, saying that he's the Messiah. It's hysterical. Got to rebuke those demons or bind them.
Well, I pointed out one to you, Bill, the other day, and then he ended up sending me a friend request, but pointed out one to you that says he is one of the two witnesses from Revelation,
Oh
and
yeah.
he knows the other one.
Yeah, there was a Messiah that came
And
up
he knows
last
the
night
other
on the
one, huh?
live.
Yeah, they talk. He's been called up, and he's talked to the seven angels around God's throne, and they've given him assignments, and he's talked to them
You
for
know,
over
it's
4 hours
it's
in
funny.
different
It's funny.
visions.
It's funny. You have these guys that claim these kind of things, right? And they tell you more about their meetings with God. They tell you more about that rather than doing what they're supposed to be doing. They just always talk about how they met with like these angels
Yep.
or with God. And yes, and I was there for several hours. And it's always the encounter. And I was floating, and there I was. I was off the ground, lifted to the air, and da-da-da. And it's like, okay, well, I haven't learned nothing yet. Like I've heard you talk about your smoking too much weed for 20 hours. Like I've heard you talk about that. Like I can go listen to a man that's been on LSD for 10 hours, and he can tell me the same glorious imaginal stories that you're giving me, but neither one of y'all I'm not learning nothing. Like, am I supposed to be, for all these hours and days you talk to God? I figured that the God that you were talking to would have taught you something. Well,
Yeah. Where's the prophecy? Where's the word
I
from the
mean,
Lord?
why even use the word prophecy? Why even use that? Let's not call it nothing. This man said that he spoke to God and all these angels. The heck with all the word salads, bro. Teach me something. Do you have something to teach me? Well, yeah, now you must listen to what I say about this and that. It's like, bro, like it's so evidently clear. You think you just
Yeah.
come up to somebody and say that I was floating in space for 72 hours and spoke to God and all
All
this?
right,
No,
I'm
you're
ready
trying
when
to
you are,
win.
man.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You're trying to win people over by trying to explain why you're so creditable. The word itself credits itself. These long explanations about who you spoke to and how, none of that's needed. None of that's needed. Just talk about the word. Why are we talking about all that over and over? That's just what's funny to
Yep.
me, and people fall for it because these people tell these stories. Just talk about the word. Teach me something. Anyway, what, Dre?
Yeah. Before you go, Dre, I
All
was
right,
gonna say,
I'm
yeah, they
ready. So it's
always.
go
Oh,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead, go
looking
ahead,
something
go
up. Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was gonna say they
No, go
always
ahead.
say,
Benny said he was
you're
looking.
not supposed
He
to.
said he was looking something.
You're not. You're not supposed to. They always say you're not supposed to be reading a book. You're supposed to go to the one who opens the book and who can read it. And they always want you to declare, your alliance with them. You know what I mean? They don't never have, like you said, they don't never have a word. It's just always
They had
about
nothing.
establishing an alliance or, bowing
Yeah,
down first.
that's it. That's it, bro. It's like, bro, we're all one because of the word. And I tell you,
That's
the saddest thing that I'm seeing, and it's anywhere. I'm tired when people say TikTok Christianity. I'm so tired of that. You got people that make fun of Christians on TikTok. You got people that make fun of Christians that they only have 50 people in the church. You make fun of people that mega churches, right? They have 2,000 and all of a sudden they're bad because they're mega. So if your church is too small, something's wrong with you. If your church is too big, something's wrong with you. If you're trying to use online services to have Christian fellowship, something's wrong with you. And
Yep.
so where's the nothing wrong then? Where's that? And it's like they put themselves in this category. Well, I'm not Christian TikTok. I'm not a Facebook TikToker or whatever. I don't have a small church. It's not a mega church. It's just right. And it's like, bro, the criteria that you guys are making is just ridiculous. I don't know where this junk is coming from. It's ridiculous. And I see that happening more and more. And these little groups are coming together. And instead of loving one another, they're all coming to an agreement on who to hate. And then before
Yep.
you know it, they have a group of, hey, we're the women's haters club. What's the
He-Man
little
Woman
rascal?
Haters Club.
Yeah, bro. Before you know it, you go in there and they're the little rascals. That's what they are. And they hate, not love. They hate a very specific group or mindset of person because they don't understand it. So if you pay attention to Little Rascals, these are kids, first of all. First of all, let me point out, if you didn't know, these are kids, okay, that need parental guidance. And they come up with this He-Man Woman Haters Club, and they hate women, but Alfalfa is the wisest one out of them all because he realizes the benefit of being with the opposite sex. He sees the benefit of it. He understands it. So if you didn't know this, Alfalfa is the most mature one out of the whole group. Okay, the other guys are, the majority of us men that would rather just hang out with ourselves because we don't have time to put up with the irrational, the irrational thinking of the woman, and I say this all the time on live that, to men, women are crazy. That you have to say it for what it is so you can understand what the problem is. Overall, women are not really crazy. That's not the point. The point is that's what the majority of men think because they're just so different. So what do? We hang out, we go fishing, we go hunting, and there's not an issue. Like, never have I been around 15 guys and there's an issue unless you're hanging around with unhealthy 15 guys, probably sitting there arguing like a bunch of imbeciles. But you have some normal, just some regular basic dudes. All they're doing is tearing the skin off or, the hide off of an animal and cooking it and see who can do it better and laughing about it. That's about it, And then the women come in and they start poking at every little thing that, the guy's doing wrong. And you know what? Half the time they're right, to be honest. They're right half the time. But because they're wrong the first half, we don't like the second half. And here we go, right? You know, on and on the world goes. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. It's been like this for a long time. So when you have these sects, when you have these sects of Christians that are like, well, we're all in agreement on this, and so because of that, let's talk about how much we hate these type of people. And then they're like, oh, we don't hate them. And it's like, are you not listening to yourself? Are you not listening to what you're saying? You hate. You murder other Christians in your heart, just like the scribes and the Pharisees did. They murdered what in the Old Testament, the Bible's calling them prophets, right? Jesus said, you murder them. You murder these people. And in today's age, we don't have to be doing this whole prophet pointing and all this. Listen, if they're believers, you're supposed to love them. And backbiting, talking negative for your own personal agenda in the like Saul of Tarsus, right? Saul of Tarsus was like, oh, well, I must do this. And you think just because you're not physically seeking these people out and physically murdering them, you think you're okay? No, your imagination's the problem. You hate these people. You don't have love in your heart, because if you did, you wouldn't be treating them this way. And I see it everywhere. And it ain't just TikTok. I'm just saying it because I'm on here right now. But in person, I see this. They hate them. How do you know they hate them? That's all they do is talk bad about them. But yet they call themselves a Christian. They call themselves part of the body. How could you be part of the body when you're cutting off your own body? And then it comes down to the grand finale. I have to make sure everyone knows that I'm not gossiping. I have to make sure that everyone knows that I'm not talking bad about a brother. So we have to come up with the name. So we'll call him a heretic or a false prophet. I don't even know where they come up with these names. So if they start saying, no, these people are heretics or these people are false prophets, well, now it looks like they're not hating a Christian. See the deception? I'm going to hide under the term or name false prophet or heretic. If I say that, then a Christian won't think that I'm hating another Christian. Look, to each his own on that. I get it. But what you really need to be veering away from is when people are just sitting there talking bad about other believers. That's the thing the Bible says we're not supposed to be doing. So if you disagree with what someone is saying about the Bible, then you just disagree. But if you start hating what the person is saying about the Bible and you go, well, you're a heretic and you're going to hell because before you know it, you're going to be saying that the person's an antichrist. Anything you could say to just get anyone to stop listening, instead of recognizing this person literally hates a Christian, but yet they call themselves a Christian. And it's funny, you don't hear the heretic or the false prophet or whoever this person, you don't hear them hating anybody. It just boggles my mind. They don't hate anybody, but yet they're hated. But yet they don't hate it. You would figure a false prophet or a heretic would be talking bad about Christians and then trying to hide it in some kind of way. But yet some of these people don't talk bad about nobody. So basically that means that false prophets and heretics, Satan, they know how to be kind. That's weird. They don't know how to be kind, first off. They don't. But yet in this case, well, no. See, there are some false prophets that are really good at what they do, and they know how to be kind. Oh, okay. But a Christian don't know how to be kind. They're just going to backbite and talk bad about their own body. It makes no sense. And it happens everywhere. And so, if you see a Christian backbiting or talking bad about another Christian, you need to ask yourself, is that love? If the answer is no, that's not love, then that right there should be enough evidence for yourself to know something's wrong here. Because the Bible says you'll know that they're my disciple if they know how to love one another. That's how they love one another.
Be good to all men, especially those of the household of faith.
Yes, it's not hard. It's not hard. People claiming they're so familiar with the Bible. They'll argue about what they think that you're saying is wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's funny. You say you know so much about the Bible, but you don't know how to love your own brother. when that is black and white. It is black letters on white page right there. And you can't even do that. And yet you want people to trust your views and opinion about the Bible. But the one thing that you're supposed to know, if you're claiming to be a Christian, you're supposed to know. You're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself. You're supposed to love one another. That's what you're supposed to do. And love is not gossip. Gossiping and hiding behind that saying, oh, well, this person's a false prophet, or this person is a heretic, or this person, and you're just hiding. You're trying to make all the other Christians, you're trying to justify why you're being so hateful. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by this garbage. Okay? It's garbage. You're never going to hear me just sit here and just talk bad about some person and then try to lie about them being a false prophet or a heretic, and just so I can justify why I'm using hate. We're not supposed to use hate. We're supposed to love. That's what we're supposed to do. And these people get into this legalistic mindset, and they try to justify why they still have a stony heart. You're supposed to have a heart of flesh and love, because love never fails. And if that person was so lost, shouldn't you be using love to bring them back to the light? Because it doesn't look like that's what you're doing. Doesn't look like you're using love. It looks like you're using hate. Huh?
I said love or fear.
Love or fear? What do you mean?
Yeah, Book of Jude. Some you say by love, and some you say by fear.
Some of you say by fear.
Pentecostal, old school Pentecostal Latino.
Yeah. So, that being said, let me tell you something. Like, it's just so clear. A few weeks ago, I was invited to a church, and I had someone come up to me, and they're like, hey, every time this lady comes up here, and she's older, she's 60 something years old. And I'm saying that because I'm, 40, but she's a little older than me. She's in her 60s. And I understand why she says what she says. Okay, I understand. And she's very legalistic, and she's all about the law. I'm not going to sit here and tell people she's a heretic and she's a false prophet because she talks about the law. And that, by the way, that's really what a false prophet is. You don't just get to make up what a false prophet is. Okay. But, she talks about the law a lot. And these people are more focused on like New Testament believing. Okay. That's what they call it up there. New Testament believing, meaning that we do come in the authority of Jesus because Jesus lives in us, and as he is, so are we. They may not use that verse, but I'm sure they do use it, but I'm just saying they're focused on as Jesus is, so are they. And there's nothing wrong with that because we are on this side of the cross, and that's fine. But I can tell that these people wanted me to go up to this lady and tell her, that she needs to stop being legalistic and all these other things. See, the problem is these people are trying to change what this lady is saying instead of just loving her. You see? See how simple that is? You can't change. You can't force something to go your way. You're being self-centered. That's all you're doing. You're focused on self. You're so focused on you that your focus becomes other people. When you don't like other people, you're self-centered. That's your problem. You are so focused on you that you're trying to like justify what it is you're doing and saying because you're not focused on God. If you were focused on God, you would love them. If you were focused on God, people put themselves out there and they become very foolish and they just trying to justify their hate. But someone who knows the word can see exactly what's happening, that Satan's got their mind captive. And instead of them learning and teaching each other that we're not supposed to be this way, that we're supposed to take our thoughts captive and put them in obedience of Christ, which is I'm going to love them anyway. I'm not going to hang out with y'all. I can't even believe y'all are doing this. Is wrong. Instead of that, hey, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. Let's come together and show everybody our fruit, right? We're going to use that because that's how, you'll know them by their fruits. That's the thing I'm saying is the Bible says we're supposed to love one another. You're not supposed to learn how to lay wait for this person you can't stand or whatever. And then as soon as the person's name's brought up or one of their friends, or you just can't wait to attack with a hammer. Like you just making it clear that y'all are becoming one, just like a gang, right? You got, Bloods and Crips, and they're like, yeah, we're Bloods. What are y'all? Y'all are Crips. It's kind of like, we're from Saul. The other people are like, we're from Apollos. And before you know it, they're arguing like a bunch of idiots. It's like, who's Paul? Who is Apollos? It's God that gives the increase. God does. So if somebody's saying, hey, Paul said, and they're learning from Paul, and you're like, well, I'm not from Paul. I'm not from the gangland of Paul. I'm from the gangland of Apollos. And Apollos said, and it's like, come on. It's God that gives the increase. So if someone is receiving an increase and you just don't like who they are receiving it from, that's not the time to shed your blood and your colors and start, waving the flag of what color you're from and sitting there trying to hate one another. We're not gangs. We're all one body. We're not different sects of people. We're all one body. But you can choose not to be, and it's evidently clear how you choose to do that. You forgot your first love. That's your issue. You forgot your first love. You don't understand that you were a wretched, no good for nothing. You, the one that talks bad about your brother, you yourself was wretched and no good. You were a false prophet. You were a heretic. You were all the things that you claim other people are. You were it. And now that God gave you grace, you just can't wait to point your finger at somebody. It's because you yourself has lost your first love. You forgot that you were the dirt, the dust, the desolate ground. You were nothing, and you became saved. And now, in your own eyes, not in God's pleasant sight, but in your own eyes, everybody else is desolate if they don't have a certain viewpoint, and that's just wrong. There's a lot of people that will say something that, about something that I'm saying. They're like, I just don't know if I agree with that. Okay, don't agree with it. That's fine. But I'm not going to shun you and make you, in my eyes, this desolate ground. I'm not going to do that because you became saved. At some point, you became saved. And so that's what God sees. He sees your heart. You're saved. That's what he sees. I'm not going to say that you're a heretic or a false prophet because there's something you don't understand. I'm not going to do that. That doesn't matter. And the worst thing you could do is join a gang that goes around hating other gangs. Like, I don't see how deceived, how you could fall in such deception that it's okay to come into like a gang where you're hating other people. I don't care if it's just once a week. I don't care if in that 1 week it's for 30 minutes. You become deceived and wrong. What you're doing is completely wrong. And you need to repent of that and come back to the body instead of cutting yourself off or cutting others off. If we're all part of the body, you have to ask yourself, why are you so easy to cut others off? Yeah, that's a question you have to answer yourself and look in the mirror. But justifying it and saying, no, it's because this person's not saved or they're false prophet or heretic, there's people being called heretics and false prophets. And I've never heard that person claim to be of any of that. They never claimed to be a prophet to begin with. They're just given these names. And that's how you know that people are teaching themselves how to justify what they're doing. It's no different than a kid. An 8-year-old kid, they will justify why they lied. If you've never had a kid or you've never had nieces and nephews, you don't have to have a biological kid, okay? But if you've never been around a kid, then I can say you probably don't understand. But if you've lived and been around other kids, and they're 8, all you have to do is just talk to them. You'll see them lying. You'll see it. And then they'll justify why they're lying. But it's not okay to be around an adult who is claiming that they know better and they act like they're 8 years old, hating one another. Carnal, nothing but carnality. I'm saying all that to say this. The thing that Dre wanted to talk about was when Saul was told by Samuel that the kingdom was going to be stripped away from him. But did it say a brother or neighbor? How does it say? But it'll be given to a brother or to a neighbor? I don't remember how it says it. Let me see. I'm looking for it right now.
Don't it just say to another?
I don't know. Well, there's a word though that he uses. I don't know if it's brother or neighbor. It could
What
be
scripture
to
are you talking
another.
about?
When Samuel told Saul that the kingdom was going to be stripped away and it shall be given to, and I don't know if it says
Oh,
brother, neighbor, another, because it
I think it
matters.
says another, bro.
Well, it
I
might,
believe
but
it
I'm
says
not gonna.
another.
Well, I'm gonna keep looking until I find it. 15, because the way that it says it, because what we're going to be talking about is spirit. Okay, that's why I'm
Why
talking
wouldn't
about everything
But
that I just said is going to come down. Huh? What'd you say?
why wouldn't Saul just go to the Uman and Tumen?
Well, because he wanted a familiar spirit. That's why.
Mm,
What is the Hebrew word for spirit?
Ruach
spirit.
Hakodesh.
It's Ruach
Okay,
Hakodesh.
right. So is it a coincidence that the spirit he's looking for is not that spirit?
Well,
Right.
and if it does say to another, if you're back in those days, if you was a Jew, you weren't another. You know what I mean? You're not a foreigner. You're not
Well, let's
just
not. Well,
another.
let's not talk about it until we prove it. So nobody's found it yet.
Right.
I'm looking for it. Let's not talk about what we think
15.
it says.
1 Samuel 15. The Lord
What does he
has
say?
torn the. It says
All
neighbors with
right,
an S.
neighbor.
Yeah.
Okay, he said. Okay. All right. And what does the Bible say about neighbors? What are we
Love them.
talking about right now?
So
Loving your neighbor.
Love your neighbor, right? So
Yeah,
he
man.
says. So Yaman. So he says your kingdom has been torn. Well, matter of fact, 15. What'd you say it was? 15 what?
15 what?
20?
Samuel replied, "What is pleasing more to the Lord is burnt offerings and sacrifice of rebellion." Then Saul admitted to Samuel, "Yes, I sinned." Samuel
Right
said,
here,
"I will not go
28,
back to you."
28, 28, 28. And Samuel said unto him, the Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel. So this is 1 Samuel 15, 28. 1 Samuel 15, 28. The Lord hath rent the kingdom of Israel. Don't forget what Israel is. Anyway, rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day and hath given it to a neighbor of thine. A neighbor. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Neighbor, kinsman, neighbor. So, saying all this because even though Saul and David had this quarrel, Saul hated David. Notice he hated him, but yet he's a neighbor, but yet he hated him. This stuff is so clear. It's so clear how we're supposed to treat one another. I don't care why you don't like the person. Grow up, man. Grow up. Take your thumb out of your freaking mouth and grow up. Stop trying to find all the other smokers. Stop, bro. Stop it. Grow up. Lord have mercy, man. Oh, Lord. That's the problem. People don't want to love. That's the problem. You don't want to love everybody. This is a self-induced, a very self-centered issue. So let's go to. So David is a neighbor. Neighborly love. Doesn't the brother? That's what the Bible talks about, right? Neighborly love. Okay. So 28, I think, is where we're at, Trey.
Samuel.
Yeah,
First
so
Samuel.
First Samuel 28, starting at right around 7.
Yeah. Can you read it or can you not?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
It says, then said Saul unto his servant, Seek me a woman that has familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servant said unto him, Behold, there is a woman that has a familiar spirit at Endor. And Saul disguised himself and put on other raiment and went. And when he went, 2 men with him, and they came to a woman by night. And he said, I pray
All
thee,
right. Hold on.
divine.
Let's look at. Hold on. Let's look at some things real quick. He disguised himself, right? That means everybody knows what he looks like, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows what he looks like. But he put on a different remnant. The whole remnant thing's very important. Very.
A different
And
covering.
then, a different covering, right? And then he went by night. What does the Bible say in its entirety about day and night? When did they go get Jesus? Was it during the day or was it by night?
It was the children of the night.
How many times? How many times, right, do you have to see when you're reading these stories and you hear he went by night? If all you see is it was nighttime and that's when he went, the story's just telling us when he went. If that's all you see, then I see why you hate your neighbor so easily. I see the reason that it's so easy for you to get lost in your flesh and go to hate as a battle tactic. It's so crazy. Your battle tactic. You're using the thing that Satan uses to kick your butt every day. You're using the battle tactic of hate. I know what to do. I know how to solve this. No, that's been your problem for too long. That's been your problem for too long. As you think that that's a true sword and you disguise it. You disguise it with hate and you think it's your sword. Your sword, your weapon is love. It's not hate. It's love. So he goes by night. He's wearing a different remnant. Doesn't it already say that the kingdom has been stripped from him already?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that what happened? Okay, so here, watch this. How come he's just not honoring what God told him was going to happen? Anybody know why? How come he's not honoring what God has already told him?
It's prideful.
Prideful and hate. He is still trying to figure out how he's going to do this. Now, let me ask you this. If God has already told him that the kingdom has been stripped from you, and he's like, I must seek another way. There's got to be another way, brother. You need to sit down, or sister, whoever you are. You need to sit down. So it's just funny to me because if you're not careful, this just looks like God just telling a story, like Saul's story. You know, it's just this way. At any chance, Saul could have stopped, but he never did. He never stopped, ever. He continued to be very self-centered. Self-centeredness is the whole purpose that you have grief in your life is self-centered. Now, I'm not saying that people cannot have a self-induced issue, right? You have parents that, I'm telling you, everyone has to know at least one family that we know for a fact the parents did a good job, but the kid chose to do whatever they wanted. Now, if you've never met one of these families, you have not lived long enough. You need to go meet more people. But there's also times where the family literally did a horrible job raising their kid, and their kid chose a completely different lifestyle, and they're fine. And then we have what people would call, curses that have been passed down, right? Generational curses. The mother was a drunk. The mother was a drug addict. The mother was, you name it. And the kids are exactly the same way. Yeah, that's possible too. But you know what else is possible? The kids come out the complete opposite of how the parents raised them. And that goes both ways. The parents could have done a great job. The kid's horrible. The parents could have done a horrible job. The kid's great. It's all based on choice. And Saul just kept choosing to do everything his own way, right? What does God say? What does it say? My ways are not your ways. But he's talking about the fallen man. That's what he's talking about. If you're saved, and you know you are, that means that there is this enmity part of you that is not born again until that which is perfect has come. I don't care how many times people say it's the Bible. That's not the thing that's perfect that we're going to be looking at his face to face. That's not the thing. It's talking about your glorified body. And that hasn't happened yet. So all this idea that, no, it's the Bible, it's the Bible. Okay, fine. Just hate me more. Instead of loving me anyway, cast more stones. You without sin cast the first stone. Boy, it's so funny that we have Christians just ready to cast them stones, and they just forget this principle. You know why they forget? Because they're not as in communion with the Lord as they claim. It's so evidently clear. You're not communion with the Lord. Your communion is with familiar spirits. That's what you're in communion with, and you don't even know it. You're in communion with familiar spirits. Something that you used to use to conquer, to help you conquer these battles that you really didn't. They're all created in your own head. You're not using the Spirit of God because God is love. You're not using love to conquer your battle. You're using familiar spirits. And I'm glad Dre wanted to talk about this, because I couldn't have asked for a better way to demonstrate what Saul was doing here and what people are doing to this day against their own family, their own arm. Stop being a fool, repent, and turn back to the body. Stop trying to separate yourself. You're not separated. If you're saved, guess what? We're all in the same body. And there's people in my family that every time I see them, I want to slap them in the back of their head of how ridiculous some of the things that they do in their own life. But you know what? We all sit at the same table, and I love them anyway. I tell my flesh to be quiet. I really don't care what you got to say, because your flesh is going to tell you something. It's not hard. Once you've studied spirit, soul, and body, and you know for a fact the different voices, that you know God's still small voice, and you know your flesh is the loud, the boisterous one, right? When we talk about the Cowboys, and I tell everybody they suck and the Cowboys are amazing, that's the flesh
Lord.
talking.
100%. I'm glad you recognize that.
Hold on a second. Don't start beating me down. But I'm saying it's my flesh talking. It's what I want. It's what I enjoy. God could care less.
Flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you, did it?
Yeah, no, it was flesh and blood that revealed. Flesh and blood did reveal that the Cowboys are going to the playoff. But the thing is, it's my flesh. God ain't up there saying, "Oh, how dare you be a Cowboy fan?" He don't care. If I go fishing and I want to pick a black and chartreuse crappie jig, he's not like, "Oh, how dare you choose black and chartreuse?" He don't care. My body is like, "Hey, I don't know, this worked last time. Let me try black and chartreuse," And then before you know it, winner, chicken dinner. First of all, if you don't understand.
I believe Jesus is a Saints fan.
Well, no, Jesus is not a Saints fan. What ended up happening, a bunch of saints got together and they said, "Hey, I think we need to be Christians." but I mean, and hey, for real though, if you don't understand what I'm trying to tell you, black and chartreuse, if you want to catch a lot of crappie and eat that weekend, that's the color. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, it does matter the type of water you're in and the colors, but for the most part, black and chartreuse.
So you fish for chicken, bro?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to fish for chicken. See, chicken don't taste like fish. Fish tastes like chicken to me. They're both delicious. But let me say
you eating some funky chicken.
What? You never seen a fish chicken? Hold on a second. Y'all ain't never seen a fish chicken? We got to go over fish chicken? Oh, man. Hold on a second. So y'all don't get it.
I got some oil to pour on Trout. We got to get him delivered from that.
I seen the dogfish.
You start. I've seen the dogfish too. I caught one actually. They bark too. It's crazy. They actually bark, don't they, Benny? They start barking. They go. Arr, arr, arr.
The ones my family member had did. I didn't know if they did, but hey, they once they lose their tail, they can get out and walk.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I want to know what the hell Dre and Trout, you guys are planting and farming in in your land.
No, I'm serious. I did catch a dogfish, me and my father-in-law, and then he was like, he said, "Well, I'm gonna go ahead and cook this one for you, son." I said, "No. I said, "You go ahead and eat that. You can keep that one." That thing was weird, bro. I was like, I'm not eating that.
Hey, y'all ain't never seen one of those before?
Hold on, child. Let me see. Hold on.
Now you're a false prophet. Oh,
man.
Hey, listen, let me tell you. Hey, listen. listen. Let me tell you something. If you don't have a picture of what you're claiming you've done, then it's all a lie. You have to have a picture. So, um, me and my
And it
brother,
was
That's
this
why the
big.
Catholics got pictures of Jesus.
hey, me and my brother and a buddy went fishing, and we caught a whole bunch of crappie one time. Anyway, and one of my buddies, when I was telling him, I said, yeah, we caught, I don't know the number, 30 crappie, 50 crappie in 5 minutes. And they were spawning. So anytime listen, if someone tells you they caught 100 crappie in an hour, all you have to ask them is what month was it? That's all you got to ask them. Do y'all know when, hold on. Let me turn this back on for, just give me a second. Give me a second here.
I think the Lord was more of a love.
The what?
I said, I
What'd you
think the
say?
Lord was.
Isn't it like spawning season, like right before spring, right around spring?
Hold on.
Usually about April.
Yeah, around there. My father-in-law goes crazy at that time, bro.
March, April, could be even early May.
I gotta go fishing this year, bro. I didn't go fishing at all last year. This past season, I didn't. I don't think I fished. Maybe twice I fished. I didn't have no time, bro.
I've went like 3 or 4 times.
Well, you know
Yeah,
it sucked.
I went
Colorado
a couple
fishing
of times,
sucks,
but I
bro.
haven't I
Like
haven't gone offshore fishing, and since I left New York, that I miss.
Colorado fishing is trash, bro. Mac,
All right. All right.
trash,
My bad.
bro. Garbage.
Okay. What
I'm
were we talking
serious.
about? What were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about spawning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So obviously, dude, it's going to be like 60 some degree. Again, I'm talking about Texas. Some places may be a little bit different, but in
You had to
Texas,
Google it.
it's, huh?
You had to go Google it.
No, you can ask my heifer. You can ask my heifer. I don't have to Google when to go crappie fishing, bro. Okay. All you have to know is starting around March or April. Now, depending where you're at, it could be further, but like where we're at, March or April, bro. If someone tells you that they went crappie fishing in March or April, bro, they're spawning. If you know anything about that, bro, the parents are going to protect the eggs.
Yep.
So I hate
They're
to.
not really hunting a whole lot.
No, you're not hunting at all, dude. Like, well, actually, you can call it hunting, but I'll
I'm just
say
saying
this.
the parents will
Yeah.
sit on the nest. They ain't
Yes.
really chasing
Yes. And
food. They will once they come off the nest.
yeah.
Well, let
Well,
me
if you
say this. Let me say this. Everybody, all the fellas, we're going to Trot's house in March to go crappie fishing,
let's go, y'all
descale
come on.
fishing.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
We're gonna be
It's my
descaling.
birthday
We're gonna be
too.
descaling. All right.
We need to do
Oh
that.
yeah.
Actually, that's my birthday.
Y'all come on. Y'all
Hey,
come
I'm
on.
down, bro. Y'all just gotta let
Y'all
me
come
know.
on.
I love getting
Y'all
on a
come on.
plane.
Y'all come on. But let me say this. But anyway, dude, and no, just like Max said, he's telling the truth. You're not hunting, okay? We just trying to eat. That's it. And guess what? You go catch all the 1 pounders. And, if you know anything about crappie, they don't get very big. I remember one time me and my buddy went. I'll say this real quick. We were both of us had a rod, and he's like, "Hey, maybe we should try this. Try this
Ooh,
one
a
rod right
rod.
here, huh?"
A rod.
We had the rod of God, dude. All
Bro,
right.
my father-in-law catch slabs crappies, bro. They're huge, bro.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about ginormous. He fillets them. He doesn't even descale them. He just fillets them
Oh no, you
right off the
fillet them,
meat.
Bubba. Yeah, you fillet them bad boys. But anyway, if somebody tells you, "Hey man, in 1 hour I caught 100 crappie," say, "Oh yeah, what month you go?" Oh well, see, they don't want to tell you they went during spawning, because you didn't, bro. You weren't fishing, bro. You kind of just you kind of just got your crappie jig and just started shaking around a lot of tree stumps, and boy, you left and right you were hitting, and that's fair. Okay, that's no big deal because crappie, there's lots of them out here in this area, and you got white and black spotted. It don't matter to me. They both taste delicious when I fry them bad boys up. So, but if you didn't know, black and chartreuse, if you're in Texas, that's what you use. I don't care if you don't know nothing about no fish. You learn how to
Look,
jig
Benny
that
getting it
bad
in,
boy.
bro. Look at Benny's.
You
Look
go,
at
oh,
Benny.
hold on a second. Hold on a second. Let me see what you got going on here, Benny.
He done found some crappie with some cheese sticks on it.
Cheese
Man,
sticks.
Oh wait, that
What are
ain't
we
cheese
looking
stick.
at?
Is
What
that
are
an
we
egg
looking at
Hot
roll?
here?
sauce on
man,
there.
look like French fries.
We got
You eating French fries for breakfast?
Man,
So
what are we
Exactly.
looking at here?
skillet
Potatoes.
potatoes, man. You gotta have
Oh,
skillet
y'all are
potatoes, man.
eating.
It's meat and potatoes every day. Then I got the turkey sausage, the
Mm.
4 boiled eggs,
Yeah, you do.
and the skillet potatoes.
Oh
Yeah,
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 I
yeah,
see
they
it.
buddy.
I
so
see it now.
tender.
Yeah, buddy.
Man, you're
Oh,
gonna
they
be
tender.
farting something fierce.
I'm gonna do
No,
that anyway.
Releasing the
no. If you
delusion.
listen, let me tell you, if you work out like you're supposed to, you won't be as gassy as you think. Now, you start eating like this, 3, 4, 6 meals a day, of course you're gonna be. But if you're working out like you're supposed to, it ain't as bad as you think.
Yeah, because when you work out, you let it all out.
Yeah, all the energy's
One
getting
set,
burnt out.
2 sets.
Shout.
No. Oh man, can we stop? Can we stop? Lord have mercy. Matt, can you turn off the redneck for 5 minutes while we're talking about eating? Is
I
there any
can
way
try.
y'all could do that?
We get back.
Mac,
It's bred
Get
into me,
back
you
to
know. It's hard.
it's bred into me. He's like, Bubba, that's natural. That's just how we talk down here. Nah, don't get me wrong. I get it. I'm just poking fun. But
Dre, you don't do
anyway,
potatoes for breakfast?
Oh,
I,
100%, bro. I just couldn't. The picture was small at first, so I thought it was fries. I was like, I know he ain't eating no fries. Then
Oh,
when you like zoomed in, I was like, oh, okay, I see what it is. No, of course, I love potatoes.
yeah. All right, let me get back. Hey, let's get back to topic, man. I'm digressing. Look, check it out. It couldn't have been a perfect topic, and I'm being 100% honest. Like I said, these people wanted me to go up to this lady, and I mean, I tell them, I say, guys, listen, you invite me to come over here to speak, and I spoke, and now you're trying to weaponize you know what I mean? You're trying to weaponize the speaker to go up to someone in your congregation, and I listened to both sides of the story, and it's y'all that's wrong. Y'all are completely wrong. Why don't you just love this lady? Oh, but we do. No, you're not. Just because she doesn't know that you're having this private conversation with me doesn't mean you're loving her. It's a lie. It is a complete lie. So if you're ever tempted to go into like this secluded room or like, where nobody knows, if y'all are meeting at night to talk about somebody, I don't care if it's during the day. Maybe you don't understand. Let me go over this. Maybe you don't understand what it means, and they did it at night, and they did it at night. It's talking about in secret, where that nobody wants to know what they're doing. It's talking about the dark imagination. So don't give me this junk. Oh, well, we do it during the day. You're missing the point. The Bible is not literally talking about us today, that when we do something in the day or night, it's talking about that you're doing it in darkness. Yeah, Benny, you're doing it in dark. Your imagination is not lit up, is what I'm talking about. You are not doing it with your heart of God. You're utilizing the flesh. You're in the dark. Okay, you're not being soberly minded. You're allowing your flesh to dictate the decisions that you're making. So I told all of them, y'all are wrong. Every one of y'all. Y'all have came together against someone who is part of the body because you don't like it when they talk about the law. You yourself have become the thing that you're claiming you don't like. You became it as soon as you did that. Your weapon of choice is always the sword, which is always the word. If you want to debate with this lady and tell her, you're wrong, I understand what they're saying. She should not be legalistic. I get it. But you're not supposed to judge someone, come together and try to build an alliance to come. No. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood. So if you don't wrestle against flesh and blood, then the lady's not the problem. She still just don't understand. That's it. But you become the problem when the lady is starting to feel like the whole church is against her. And then you make her feel like she's crazy by gaslighting and say, we're not all against you, but yet y'all lay in wait every day.
Is that
Y'all
like
lie in wait.
messing with somebody's conscience? Try like if
Yes.
a person who comes like my cousin, like I said, I got cousins that are they believe in the Messiah, but they just can't release some of the traditions of Judaism. I don't judge them for it. Like as long as you recognize Jesus the Messiah and you're not trying to lay burdens on others, but you feel like this is what you have to do, then by all means, bro, keep doing it. Like you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep eating this chicharrón, and you go ahead and don't eat it. That's fine. Like I'm cool with it. I don't it doesn't bother me none.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, all of us,
Chicharrones.
chicharrones. Yeah, those are pork skins, right? Chicharrones.
Yeah, you gotta have them fresh though, like freshly made, bro. Then it's a whole different
Well, let me
experience
tell
than
you.
buying store
Well,
bought.
no, I
We
I'll tell you
call
believe
that.
you.
it
I believe
crackling.
they are. But I believe they are. But I've tried original, like no seasoning. They're disgusting.
Yeah, they taste like
But like,
poop because that's what pig smells like poop, bro. Really and truly.
yeah, yeah. So, but when they
Let's
put
keep it real.
when they put that hot seasoning on them, the spicy pork skins. Oh, Bub, I eat that whole bag by myself, man. Like I'm not kidding. Like no joke. But
Oh, let me
anyhow,
show you. Let me show y'all some show and tell real quick. I
all right,
know. Flip gonna like this. Hey, Flip, check this out, bro. Check this out. I'm gonna do some show and tell. I just got this in.
let's go. Let's go.
Watch this.
What happened? What did Bill
Y'all
say?
see this?
All right.
It's a box.
Where'd
All right,
it go?
let me step back. Look at this. Look at how pretty this is.
Where'd you get that at?
Bro, I ordered it from the Dreidel company. It's so nice. Look, it even has palm trees on there, bro. I don't know if you
I
can
didn't see
see
the
it.
palm trees. Where?
Where they
Point with
at?
your
Yeah,
finger.
bro, they're right there. Hold on, let me see
Is
if I
it
can zoom
No,
David's
it
point
out.
with
harp?
your finger.
Is that a
Yeah,
harp?
David's
Hold on.
harp, dude. You got the
I got
living
I got
water.
I got to get the finger of God. So there's palm trees right there, bro.
No
You can't really
way.
see it. That's a palm tree.
Yeah, I
That's a
can see
palm
it.
tree. And
Wow.
then here, the 12
Look at all the
tribes.
stones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right?
The
5
eye?
in the harp.
The
Right?
eyeball? Oh
Yeah.
I believe this is the narrow gates. Is what I believe. This is what they were trying to
Yeah,
put
that would
here.
have to be. Yeah, but that would have no. But see, that would have to be Israel or Jerusalem or the gate that's at the Mount of Olives. It would have to
Right.
be the shape of that. I could tell it's one of those.
Exactly. And then it has the 5 pillars of grace or whatever. And then it
That
has the
one's sweet.
fruit, like the vine, and there's the
Yeah.
grapes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Why
it's
they
really nice, man.
why'd they make
Beautiful.
it into an eyeball instead
What did you
of
say?
I said why'd they make it into an eye?
I don't
Into a
know that
what?
I don't think that's an eye, bro.
Well, he's talking about the big one.
It's that, but then if you zoom out, like back up, that's an eye.
What's an
This is not
eye?
an eye, bro.
Yeah.
This is like a
No, bro,
mouth, if
that's the
anything.
water. Listen. That's the
Oh,
dew
it's
of
the water.
heaven. That's the
I got
waters that are above and beneath.
Yep.
I can tell by looking at this that the
Yep.
people that made this are very familiar with the Bible. I could tell
Yeah,
because you wouldn't.
It's a Christian
Yeah,
menorah. It's not a Jewish one. It's a
yeah.
I
messianic.
see what CJ say that.
He's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, yep, yep.
Hey, listen.
I
Here's the
see it.
thing.
It's subliminal. It's subliminal.
No, it's the thing.
Subliminal,
He's a
Here's the
flat
thing,
subliminal,
guys.
earther.
I'm gonna break it
subliminal.
down. What happens
He's a
is
flat earther.
what happens is that what happens is that to the clean, all things are clean, and to the evil,
Oh
all things are evil. So you know,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
it's a conscious thing. So
yeah.
your consciousness is always
Pride died
on the
laid to the
things of.
side.
Let's be
Uh,
serious.
Anyway, all
all
right.
right, so let
Yeah.
me
So
read
let's
this, man.
go ahead.
All right, so we are on verse. Oh shoot. So we are in verse 8. No, 9. He had already disguised himself.
First Samuel. Hold on a
Went
second. Hold on a second. First Samuel 28.
28 and 9 now.
All right.
It
Samuel.
says, and the woman said unto him, Behold, thou knowest what Saul has done, how he has cut off those that have familiar spirits and the wizards out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life to cause me to die?
Okay.
Question
Hold
mark.
on. Real quick. Okay. So Saul is the one that cut these type of people out of the land, right? Saul. Okay.
Yep.
And now at night, out of fear, lost, he goes seeking out the thing that he cast out. Is it a coincidence that it's called a familiar spirit? No, it's not. Because when people lose sight, when the focal point, when the imagination, when the laser point focused comes off Christ, comes off the Lord, the only weapon you have left is a familiar spirit. Something that you used to use to win your battles. David wasn't using his flesh when he beat the lion and the bear. He was using his heart. That's what he was using. And so when Saul told David, hey, put this on, right, this armor, instead of the armor of God, put this physical armor on so you can win this battle, it didn't take David long. David may have been tempted to do this, but he said, wait a minute, man, no. There's only one way that this man is going down. There's only one. And I know exactly what to do because I've been doing it. So when you say, oh, of course, he was a sniper with the, he was a sniper with the sling. Yes, in real life, obviously he was. But the point is, and the whole point literally, is he had two choices standing in front of him. He had the physical armor, or he had the shadow of Christ's armor, which was the rod, which was right there. If you didn't know, it was right there in the room with him. When he walked in there with Saul, he had his rod with him. How do you know? Because as soon as he told them, no, I'm not used to winning my battles this way. He says, and then he took the rod with him. If you're not understanding that he had a choice, he had a physical armor and he had the rod of God. Those were his choices. So when David wrote, when he said, for your rod and thy staff comfort me, what rod? What staff? What rod and staff comforts a man if it's not the rod of God, which is the authority of God, who is Jesus? He is the comforter. And when people don't understand,
that's the reason why Peter went back to fishing. That's his familiar spirit. That's what he was familiar with. That's what made him feel good in his flesh after he denied Christ.
well, obviously that does play a role, but that was his job too. He was a fisher, but it was because Jesus, came and told them to cast their nets on the right side every time that they went out. But here, go ahead and finish reading where you were at.
All right.
And just to say, let me say this one more time. I keep stopping because if you're not picking up every sentence, if you can't see how this is showing you what is going on, then that's the problem. You're not seeing every little thing that is pointing to a truth. It's not about just understanding the story. That's part one. But every little thing matters. He did it at night. He changed his remnant. All this stuff matters. If all you hear is, well, he changed his clothes. Obviously, he don't want everybody. Why not? Why not? Why doesn't he want everyone to know that he went looking for a familiar spirit? Why not?
But that familiar, it sounds like too, a dog to the vomit, a pig to the mud, something going back to something.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is, right? But notice he changed his remnant. He changed his remnant. He's literally backtracking. He's going backwards 100%. But anyhow, so go ahead, Dre.
All right. So we are in verse number 10, I believe. It says, and Saul swore to her by the Lord, saying, as the Lord liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried a loud voice, and the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped with his face to the ground and bowed himself. And Samuel said unto Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up? And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and God is departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Then Samuel, wherefore then doest thou ask of me? Seeing the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? And the Lord has done to him as he spake by me, for the Lord has rent the kingdom out of thy hand and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. Because thou disobeyest not the voice of the Lord, or executeth his fierce wrath upon Amalek, therefore has the Lord done this thing unto thee this day. Moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines, and the morrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. The Lord also has delivered the host of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. Then Saul fell straightway all along the earth, and was sore afraid because the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all day, nor all the night. And the woman came unto Saul, and saw that he was sore troubled, and said unto him, Behold, thine handmaid has obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and I have hearkened unto thy words which thou spakest unto me. Now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou also unto the voice of thy handmaiden, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, that thou mayest have strength when thou goest on thy way. But he refused, and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the woman, compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he rose from the earth and sat on the bed. And the woman had a fat calf in the house, and she hastened and killed it, and took flour and kneaded, and did bake unleavened bread thereof. And she brought it unto Saul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. Also, Tribe is gonna walk away on us. Hey, just like that, brother. I was wondering why I was getting through this whole thing without interruption.
It's not an interruption.
I was really wondering how that happened.
He must have fallen off again.
Yeah.
Trying to
He
get back
normally
up.
he
That's a long
normally
climb,
say,
bro.
hold on.
Boy, you let that KJV roll off your tongue eloquently, boy.
He fell asleep,
I
bro.
love that KJV.
Oh yeah, I love it too, man. Try get it off the ground and eat it some bread.
Get it up off it. Get it
So what do
up.
y'all think? Do
He's
y'all
just
think? Do
waiting
y'all
for the
think this is?
crumbs.
So do y'all think this is really Samuel or what? Like how this is that was my question to Trot because I'm like how in the world did this evil woman, this witch, like summon Samuel? And I noticed that this is one of them things that kind of like the Catholic Church them they use this and they're like, see, you could talk to dead people, like it's okay, like it happens. Even though she used a witch, we use it the right way. So like that's where this whole thing stemmed from. Like, what do you guys think?
I would say go to Moses with the rod when he went up against the Pharaoh and the Magi because they used some type of power to make their staffs turn into snakes as well. And
Bro,
it was
that's a red herring, bro. What are we talking about? We're talking about summoning and talking to the dead. That's a
yeah.
straw man, bro.
How is that strong?
Yeah, I would say he really did speak to him.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They I was saying it's some kind of power, but it's not the Holy Spirit. That's what I was saying.
So
I
you're telling
wouldn't
me with the
think it
power
would
of
be.
Satan, you could pull up a dead person in the Old Testament.
I don't know what they could do.
No, but that's what you just said. What are you talking about? You literally
Well,
just said
the
that they used
Bible.
that this witch
Yeah,
pulled out Samuel out of the bosom of Abraham.
yeah. Because the
I don't
Magi,
know, bro. I don't
because
know. I
the
don't understand that,
Magi,
bro. Somebody's gonna have to break that down for me, bro, because I
Well,
don't
we
get it.
seen.
never
We
forget.
know that Christ. We know that Christ did that on the Mount of Transfiguration.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I don't see how that. An evil sorcerer, somebody who has, no godly power. Maybe they doing some evil stuff, but how they could pull a saint,
Right.
like Dre said, out of
I
Abraham's bosom. It had to be
get that.
had to be some type of trick.
But when
Yep.
we're talking about the Mount of Transfiguration, we're talking about two bodies that have never been buried,
Yeah, that's true
right?
too. Yep.
Two bodies that were never buried. They were never like, yeah, Moses died, but listen, there was fighting for that body, you know. So that body was taken by God. Where is it at? I don't know. I can't tell you. Maybe Trock could answer that because he says the Bible answers every question. I don't know what that answer is. I'll be curious to know.
Yeah. I only was saying the Pharaoh and Moses because of how the Magi turned their staffs into snakes. They did it somehow, and so
Yeah.
how they were able to do that is probably the same way that this
No, no,
world.
I agree with that, CJ. I agree
No,
that
he's
there's evil
yeah, he's
powers. That I don't disagree with that. But the problem is when we're talking about mediums, the Bible literally condemns. The Torah literally condemns um, pulling out mediums to speak to the dead. That is damned by God in the
Yep,
Torah.
that's true. That's true.
So how the heck did this happen? That's where. Listen, I guess I'm not that familiar with the Bible. Maybe you guys are. Y'all need to break this down for me.
No, I've never studied that out neither.
I'm
You
doing the
you wouldn't
research.
think though that they would be able to. It had to be some sort of, you know what I mean, like just
well, yeah, Mac. I'm thinking like even though uh she is like what you would consider wicked, we know God can intervene, right, to still reach that king. But
Here's the thing, though, Benny. Did Samuel? Did this quote unquote Samuel? Did he say anything new?
did he say anything new?
oh, I think I see what he's saying.
He didn't say nothing new, right? He said
I
the
think
same.
he's saying that when this witch did this, God had put, maybe if it was Samuel, God Himself after
So, like I said, I don't know. You breaking up, Mac? But this is what I'm saying, Benny.
she.
Like I know that the devil can pull up the past. Like there's nothing new that this new Samuel said. There's nothing new. Like he already knew that this thing was going to David. He already knew that this thing was that he had already taken the kingdom away from him. So there's no new revelation here. So the
Yeah, but
devil
think
can give
about
you
it.
old because remember he said that he perceived that it was Samuel. So she didn't
But
say it
think
was
about
Samuel.
yeah.
Go
She
ahead.
she saw she saw Samuel. So when she saw Samuel, she
No, she didn't
immediately
know who it
knew it was
was, bro.
Saul.
She didn't know who it was. Look, I'm gonna read it. She didn't know who it was. She just said she saw an old man. That's all she said. Look, watch. Where is it at? And
No,
Samuel said, "Wherefore?" Uh,
yes, it says she saw Samuel, and that's why she knew it was Saul.
Must be addressed.
All right, where we at? Sorry,
we're
I had to do something.
we're just discussing how God cursed going to mediums, and then all of a sudden we're sitting here talking to dead people.
Yeah. Okay. So, Saul. Okay. So Saul. What did the lady say? That Saul's the one that ordered all of them to be removed from the land, right?
Hmm.
All right. So let's think about it spiritually just real quick. Okay. I'm not saying that we're not going to go over the physical story. We are. Let's go over it. But what is the whole point of Saul being king? Why was Saul king to begin with?
Because they wanted a king.
They wanted a king. Okay. Who is supposed to be people's king?
God Himself.
Okay. So God is supposed to be the king of the people. And let me say this. Let's just look at how the world happens with kings. Let's look at the world. If the king falls, what normally happens?
Everything goes.
Kingdom
Everything
too.
goes. Okay, so when God says, I look for a man, and I could not find one, what is he saying?
The nation had fallen as well.
No, talking about when God in the Bible, over and over, he's looking for a man to do something, but he can't find one. What is he looking for?
Righteous man.
A king.
Right,
Right.
right, perfect king. And who's the perfect king?
Jesus.
Okay,
He
so that's
Himself.
all right, himself. That's why the word became flesh, right? The word had to become flesh because he could not find a man to be the king of the land.
Hmm.
Period. Period. The end. So when we're looking at these stories and you're not understanding the whole principle behind the story and you're being superficial, you can't see any further than the tip of your nose, then all you see is God's people's stories. You're not seeing the totality of the circumstances here. You're not putting the whole picture together. This whole thing was about the king being the king of the people. But the people said, no, we want to make a man a king. And he goes, oh, my goodness gracious. Fine. And so here comes Saul. And remember, after Saul fell, right? What did Samuel say? What is all this? Why do I hear all these animals? Y'all remember, right?
What?
Anybody?
You said
No,
animal.
I don't remember
What?
Yes. Man. All right. Y'all know what I'm talking about, but it's not clicking. Look, Saul is king at a point. Just hear me out. What caused Saul to fall? What was the thing that happened?
Oh, he was supposed to kill all the animals, bro.
All
and
right.
he
All
didn't.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah,
watch this.
okay.
He was supposed to kill everything,
Yep,
but
and
he
kept the king
didn't.
and the
Okay.
animals.
Okay. Listen. How is this woman still even here if Saul was supposed to remove everything impure from the land? How is she still here? Are you not understanding? Y'all don't understand who this woman is? Y'all still don't see it. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he left. He banished her, but he didn't kill her.
Well, either way, it wasn't done God's way is my point. It wasn't
Yeah,
done
100%,
God's
100%.
way.
That's
He was
why.
supposed
Okay.
That's
to
why
execute everything.
Samuel. That's why Samuel killed that king because Saul didn't do it.
Well, again, we can bring up all the instances, right? They're all there. All the proof is there that he didn't do it the way it's supposed to be done. That's why the kingdom was stripped from Saul. And then to go even further, to show you that he had the authority to be king of the people. God gave him the authority. Here you go. Samuel said, it's really God. God said to him that if he would have done what God had told Saul to do, if he would have done it, he said that his kingdom would have reigned forever. Let's go look at it real quick.
Yep,
Let's
I
go
remember that.
and let me tell you something, how important it is. It is so important to understand what God is saying right here, because if you don't understand that, I'm telling you, you have no idea what the Bible's talking about. If you don't understand what it means that God said, if you would have done what I told you, your kingdom would have lasted forever. What does
That's
forever
why.
mean?
That's
What does
why
forever mean?
Christ. That's why Christ came, and
Forever,
he
bro.
wanted to do the will of the Father.
Yeah, but
You
the
know, he
point
did what
is,
God said.
we cannot take away this part. He
Right.
told him that if he would have done what he was told, that his kingdom would have lasted forever. So when people say, no, David still would have been, no. Oh, no, brother. No, man. Let me tell you something. He
Hey,
had, and
hold on real quick. I'm sorry, but that actually refutes predestination right then and there in the Bible.
well, I can refute predestination with a lot of things, and this is definitely one of them. But the point is, he had a choice. If all he had to do, somebody find the verse yet, or do I got to go look it up myself?
Oh, I wasn't looking. Hold on, give me a second. I'll find it
I
for
need
you.
someone to find that. I'm over here
I
trying to
got you,
talk to you.
man.
All right.
Relax. I
Relax.
got you.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm down, bro.
I'm telling you, people downplay this all the time because they're like, nope, David was king. It didn't matter. It was going to happen no matter what. Okay, well, then something's wrong with God's words here. This is the games that I'm talking about people play. Oh, well, God knew it was
First
going to
Samuel
happen.
13:13.
All right, well, let's read it.
All right. Oh, let me change the version. First Samuel 13:13. First Samuel 13:13. And it says, and the word of God says, and Samuel said to Saul, thou that hast done foolishly, thou hast not kept the commandment of the Lord thy God, which he commanded thee. For now would the Lord have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever.
Forever. Listen.
Eternal.
Eternally. Listen. If you're going to sit here and act like that don't mean nothing, and you're going to say, well, it don't matter, David's king, you become a fool. You literally become a fool because you don't understand what God just said. You don't understand it. You really don't, man. It is sad that these kind of verses get looked over because they're like, well, the King David reigns. Yeah, King David. No, brother. Hold on. Calm down. I don't think you understand what God is saying. I really don't. That if
That would
Saul,
also bring into the thing that Jesus said, like how many times would I have gathered you unto myself?
Yeah, and
You know,
so dazzling God spoke to until you keep defending Saul. In other words, as well.
yeah. So here's the thing. Is God telling the truth that if Saul would have done what God said, would Saul would have reigned as king forever? True or not
Does,
true?
does God lie?
True.
Exactly. So God's telling a truth here.
Yeah.
God is telling a truth. And I know people can say, it don't matter, King David. No. Here we go again with skipping over things that seem as though they're insignificant. They're
So
not. Matter of
technically,
fact, is
so
is
so technically, Samuel is like Saul's like a representation of Adam, and David is a representation of Jesus.
yes. Yes, the opportunity was given. Saul is you. Saul is you, but you failed. Saul is you, the firstborn. Which one was king first, Saul or David?
Saul.
so
Saul. So it's just a coincidence that a man that God chose was after the heart, right? But the people chose what they saw with their physical eyes. The people chose him.
Barabbas.
But watch this. Was God fair? Did he give the people a fair fight? Did he give them a chance?
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. He said,
You
"Listen."
cannot.
He gave
Yeah,
him
go ahead.
100% chance. He said, "Listen, you can eat of every tree that you want except this one." So he gave you the answer to the test, and you still
Yep.
failed. And he gave you a fair chance. He gave you more than a fair chance. He
So
even gave you
watch
the answer
this.
to the test to begin
So,
with.
yeah. So people are saying that God put that tree there. So God put the tree of the knowledge of good and evil there. God put it there. No, my friend, you can hate me all you want, but God did not plant that tree there. The Bible makes it clear that he planted all the trees that were pleasant to the sight, that were pleasant, meaning they were already pleasant and
Oh,
they
it
were
says
good
pleasant
for food
and good for eating. Yep.
and good for
Pleasant
food.
and
So,
good for eating. Yep.
so once that this tree that was not planted there, it was not planted, it was an enemy has done this, the wheat and the tares. And when people say, that's not what it's to, you're blind. That's exactly what it's referring to, man. It's exactly what it's referring to. And not just that. If you, first of all, if you think it's only referring to the tree of knowledge of good and evil, then you're still missing it. You're still missing it. Every one of you had a chance to obey the law. First of all, we were never put under it. I don't even understand the ridiculous notation there. But if you chose to live under the law, you are the shadow Saul. It's you. You are the one that has dominion. You are the one that can rule. You can do it. If you want to enter heaven through the law, the opportunity is there. But let me tell you, if you have the whole book, haven't read the book, you're going to fail.
Oh, you
And
broke out,
once
bro.
you fail, you can't hear me?
We can now, but you were like in the middle of something and it paused. And he pauses again.
Is that
There we
better?
go. There
Is
you
that
go.
better? All
Yeah.
right. So your physical you had a chance to reign. If a man can uphold the law and make it to heaven, then he can make it to heaven under the law. If a man could, it would already had happened. But that's why he says, I can find no man. But it's not just to uphold the law as far as perfection. It's not just that. That's not even good enough. I'm not going to get through all the ins and outs, but he looked and he could find no man. So, but the point is, the opportunity was given. No one will be able to say, let's just say you entered heaven and he's like, oh, well, you're only here because of grace. You pretty much suck, but you're here because of grace. Well, that's not fair. You didn't give me an opportunity. Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. And there will be no man that will be able to boast. So the other side is nobody's going to go to heaven and say, you gave me an opportunity and I passed. No, it's not going to be able to happen, dude. It's because you don't understand. Your flesh will never, you had the chance. You had to receive Jesus in order to enter heaven. So if you say, well, now I have Jesus, all things are possible. So now I'm going to uphold the law. I think you missed the point. You had to first fail to be able to uphold the law. You had to have first failed. Because now you're saying you can uphold the law without Jesus. So when Hebrew Israelites or these other people that say through Jesus all things are possible, yeah.
He's either getting a phone call or he's getting text. You got cut off again.
All right. So, well, and guys, we all know it's either a text or phone call. Come on, we all know it's. I'm not trying to play games and swipe out of here. So, it's if it wasn't something that was like forcing my phone to go, to coffee mode or whatever, then. But the point is this. Hebrew Israelites and all these people, they'll say things like, "Well, yeah, Jesus." Some of them will bring up Jesus. And now you can do the law, and you're still missing the point. I don't even know how that even becomes an argument. Well, now you can do it because of Jesus. Yeah, brother, but you didn't have him the whole time. You didn't have him the whole time, which means you failed. To now believe, well, I have Jesus, and now all things are possible. No, brother. You going to heaven only became possible because of Jesus, not because of you upholding the law. Now that you have the spiritual law written on your hearts, it's not about how you uphold them. Because you have him living in you, you can't fall away from that truth. It makes no sense. When you were a sinner, could you somehow disavow your sinnerhood by being good? Is that how it works? When you were a sinner, could you disavow your sinnerhood by being good? No, you couldn't. You could not become good.
Nope.
Or you could not become not sin by somehow disavowing your sinnership by saying, I'm no longer a sinner because I've been good. Could you do that without Jesus? No. So you had to receive Jesus to be good. And now that you're good, you're going to fool yourself to believe now that you're good because you uphold the law. That's why Paul said, oh, foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you? Who told you this lie? That when you receive Christ, now's your chance to be good. No, you weren't good. That's why you needed Christ. Christ wasn't put in your life so you could be good by your works. He was put in your life so you can be good because you couldn't produce good works. It doesn't mean once you have him, oh, now you have an opportunity. You failed. You get one chance with the law. You failed, my friend, whoever you are. You failed. The whole law for you has to be replaced. Every one of us are born with a big old piece of glass. And just to make sure you can see it, it's a 20 by 30. It's a big old rectangle. It's a 20 by 30. And if you so much get a scratch on that piece of glass while you're on this earth, then you failed. I don't care if somebody shot a BB gun at the very corner and you can barely even tell that it touched it. It has a blemish, my friend. Your law has a blemish. And guess what? It has to be replaced. And I don't care if you get a monster truck and smash into someone else's, it cannot be put back together again. It has fallen. Your big piece of glass has failed. It has to be replaced. And once it's replaced, then it'll be held because only Jesus can replace it. But it's held because of him, not because of you. You didn't somehow just start upholding the law. No. Jesus is the law. That's why it says he writes them on our hearts. He doesn't write them on your hearts because you're too stupid to remember them. But if he writes them on your hearts, you'll start behaving. No, you're missing it again. He is the fleshly heart. I'll remove your stony heart and replace it with the heart of flesh, and he's it. So, all that being said, the whole purpose of Saul being the king is because the people did not use their pleasant eyesight. Don't you understand? They were blind. They did not see the way God saw. That's what happened to Eve. She did not see the tree of knowledge and good and evil as pleasant until the lies. Don't you understand? Until the convincing. And when she saw that the tree was good for food, and when it happened through conversation, the tree was not good for food and it was not pleasant to her eyes. Don't you understand that? I don't understand how you don't see that. You're going to say that the tree of knowledge and good and evil was not Satan. Don't you know what the serpent is? Don't you know what a tree is? See, they won't say that the tree of life is not Jesus. You'd have to be a fool to say that. They'll have to come in agreement with that. But that doesn't make the other tree. You're missing it. Yes, it does, brother. Yes, it does, 100%. You're missing it. Now you're saying that that God put that other tree there to tempt Adam. That's why he put it there. He put it there to make Adam fall. And then he put it there and told Adam not to eat of it. Man, you really are blind. Whoever you are that are saying this, you are blind to say that God planted an unpleasant tree there that only became pleasant when Eve was deceived that it was pleasant, because it makes it clear that all the trees that God planted were pleasant to the sight.
Mike
All of them.
said, Jesus is our safe flight repair.
Exactly. He is.
Hey, but
He
something
is.
else we was talking about a while ago, just a thing that came up. So, do you believe that when he went to this witch,
Mm-hmm.
that did she really raise Samuel?
Yeah, no,
And
we're
was
gonna
that
go over
really?
that. No, we're gonna
Oh,
go
okay.
over that. I'm trying to get to a point though, right? The point is
What's 11
Saul.
here? I didn't know if you was about to get
No,
off.
you're good. No, that's the whole point we're getting to. But the problem is people keep going over the story and they're not putting the whole Bible together. That's the problem. That's why I'm going over this. Because the whole Bible is perfect in that way. It is. But that which as perfect has come, that's not talking about the Bible. It's talking about our glorified body. So so it matters to understand what is pleasant to God's sight. What is that? The Bible talks about a delight sight, pleasant sight. It's Eden. Eden in English means delight and pleasant. It means both of them. That's what it means. But those words mean the same thing. It's not two different things. One of them, it doesn't say Eden means encouragement, and it also means nice people. See, those are two completely different things. No, it says pleasant and delight. If you don't understand that's the same thing, then now you're just literally just tossing around word salads on purpose just to confuse things. Delight and pleasant is the same thing. So God has a pleasant sight, and Adam and Eve had a pleasant sight. All the trees had a pleasant sight except that one tree. That's why God said, don't eat of it. Why would God plant a good seed in the good ground and then tell Adam, don't eat of this good tree? It makes no sense. And when you say, oh, well, because God's ways aren't our ways, no. God's ways is not man's ways. God's ways are God's ways. And when God's ways that he has a pleasant spiritual sight, there's a type of sight that he has. Adam and Eve had that sight. They were perfect. God had just made them. For anyone to say that Adam and Eve were lacking something after God made them, you need to stop listening to this person. You don't understand that Adam and Eve were perfect? They were perfect. God had just made them. There was no fallen world. They were made perfect. Adam was created in the image and likeness of God. Where's the imperfection? If God wanted Adam and Eve to know what good and evil was, he would have created it with them. So to say that the tree of knowledge of good and evil is a good thing, you're a fool yourself. You yourself have eaten from this tree. Eating is believing, if you didn't know. Eating is believing. Eve believed what Satan said, what this tree said. Eve believed it, and she gave that information to Adam. It wasn't a freaking apple. It was words. And Adam fell because he believed what she said. She was deceived. How could a good tree deceive somebody? You're separating the tree from the serpent. You're separating them. Don't you understand that we are trees? Don't you understand that? That we are trees, and you either have the serpent living in you or you have Christ. You either have the seed of Satan living in you or you have the seed of the promise. How do you not understand? What is it about your mind that is telling you that all you see is a physical tree and a snake swiveling around in there? You're missing it. You're missing it, man. You're missing it big time. Nothing has changed. All of us are trees, and a good tree will only bear good fruit. Don't you
So
understand?
there's a dove resting in your branches, or there's a snake sitting in it.
Come on. I mean, how many more? How many more? What is it about the? And let me say this: if you think I'm pointing my finger at you, you're mistaken, because I was you. Don't you understand? I was. I literally thought it was a physical tree and there's a snake in there, and this other tree was a big old tree with golden apples. Wake up, man. Wake up. What is true today? What is true today? Can a person say words that are from a serpent? Can a person speak words that of Satan today? Can
Yes,
a
bro. Yes,
person?
yes, yes, yes,
Right. Well,
yes, yes,
I'm
yes.
sorry.
Yes,
That was it.
Harry Potter could. I seen it.
Well, the point is, if a person can speak Satan's words today and a person can speak the words of God today, what is it you are not seeing? You are not supposed to be eating from the other tree. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Good and evil is not from God, not to us. Just because good and evil is a truth that God understands, good and evil puts fear in people. There is no such thing as good and evil. When are you going to understand this? There is no such thing. When God created Adam and Eve, he did not create them with the understanding of good and evil. Not the way that you think. No, he did not. You know why? Because the focus was Jesus, life. Our focus is life. Peter stopped. He started to sink. Why? Because he took his eyes off the tree of life. Our eyes, God created us to only focus on him. He's the truth. And as soon as your focal point, as soon as that focus comes off him, it's only because that there's a deception, a lie of fear. And the Bible makes it clear that fear is a liar. And that Satan is the father of what? What is the Satan father of? Come on.
Lie.
Father
Just
of
lies.
lies.
So, and what was the lie? The lie is, even though the tree of life is standing right before him, the lie is you still have to fear. And he began to sink because of the boistering winds. How can you not see this? Let me tell you what happened. You got so familiar with the Bible that's not real, you hate what I'm saying. That's the problem. And you're not going to let the Bible get in your way. You're going to hold on to this tradition of golden apples on one tree and a red snake slithering around in another. You just can't let it go. And that's fine. But if you're saved and I'm saved, what's so hard for you to choose love? How about this? How about the next words out of your mouth about me are loving? Can you do that? Can you do that? You can't do that, huh? I wonder what's stopping you. Because I don't think it's the dove in the branches that's stopping you. It might be a slithering snake. You need to start realizing what pleasant sight is. So the people chose Saul with their physical eyes, and the Bible makes it clear that God did not choose a man based on what?
Appearance.
Huh?
Based on his
Outward appearance.
countenance, his outward.
Right. Outer countenance, appearance, stature. That's not how he chooses. He chooses a man by his heart. That's how he chooses. And if you don't understand what that's talking about, it's talking about God's heart. He's only going to choose a man of himself. Both Adams were made from God's heart. Both were. Both perfect. The difference is one was a man and one is God. One became a living soul, one became a quickening spirit, because he didn't have to become a living soul. He had God's soul in him. He had God's soul in him. He didn't have to become a living soul. He was made a quickening spirit to do what? To quicken, to make alive. That's what he was created to do. So Saul was king because the people chose him to be, and he failed. That's what happened. He failed. Just like Adam failed, just like we fail and fall. So it's already 10, but we're going to finish this. I'm not going to leave y'all hanging today, man. Let's go to 1 Samuel 28. I'll start reading at 11. And the woman said, whom shall I bring up? And he said, bring up Samuel. And the woman saw Samuel. Listen. Let me say this. It says familiar spirit. Somebody go look up this word spirit.
I thought we said it was the Ruach. I mean, I can look it up.
No. I 110,000% said it was not that. Because it's 178. There's only a few times that Ruach is not being used, and this is one of them right here. So now you have to ask yourself, why is the breath of life, when it says that Saul went looking for familiar spirits, why all of a sudden that it's not that spirit? Why not? All of a sudden it's not that spirit. And do you know how this word is described? Hey, read it. Read the definition for this word.
I'm coming to it. Well, it's in 9, right?
It's 178. It's just the Hebrew word.
H178, yeah. It's water, skin, bottle, necromancer.
Watch. Hold on. Water, skin, bottle. You cannot put what into what? You cannot put
new wine into old wineskins.
Yeah. So look, he's going back to a familiar spirit. He's going back to his flesh, his carnality. That's why he put on a different remnant. He goes to a different woman representing a different kind of spirit. Just like Jacob's mother made the savory meat for the father, representing the spirit.
Try.
Yeah.
What verse you on?
1 Samuel 28.
The spirit one is in 9. The spirit one is in 9.
3 and 9.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So it says water, skin, bottle, necromancer. A necromancer is one who invokes the dead, ghost, spirit of a dead one, practice of necromancy, one that has a familiar spirit. So a disembodied spirit.
But the point is, it's not what Hebrew word, it is not this word right here.
It's not the Ruach.
That's right. Because it's a familiar spirit. It's something that he's familiar with. It's the armor that he tried to give David to fight Goliath. That's why he's wearing a different remnant. So this idea that, oh, he just disguised himself. No, duh, dude. No, duh. In real life, that is what he did. But I'm sitting there telling you the Rhema, the word of God is showing you something else at the same time. It is. So Just like in the story of Saul, right? Saul went looking for his father's donkeys, right? It doesn't say much about the donkey. Like it doesn't give us the gender. But then it's weird. You go look up the donkey and it just so happened to be a feminine all of a sudden. And it's different than a lot of the other donkeys. It just so happens to be in Saul's story that when he was seeking for wisdom, he found it. And then here, now it's talking about him going to a familiar spirit. And the land.
By the way, that word raiment that he put on a different, it says he put on a different raiment. It means treachery or deceit.
Of course. Yeah. I was going to bring up the deception of that here in a minute, but it doesn't matter. That's why we're all here. But so now he's going back to deception. He's going back to a part of a land. Now listen, if he was chosen by God, which we know it's Jesus, the land is not going to have any of this in there anymore. But for some reason in Saul's kingdom, they're still here. And you know what's funny? His servants knew how to find him. As a matter of fact, it doesn't look like it took them much long at all. They were like, hey, I need you to find a familiar spirit. Oh, well, don't worry. We already know one. His servants? Have we not went over the servant, who the servant is?
Bro, let me just say this real quick. This is crazy. So the word disguise himself means search. So he searched and put on deception. He searched for deception.
So that's just a coincidence too. So
Wow.
he went back to a land where there was familiar spirits, which means he's no longer in the presence of God. And we know this because God cut him off. He went back to a land, not the promised land. No. Because the promised land's alive. He goes to another type of land where there's familiar spirits. And when you look this up, it just so happened. And you look at the Ruach, how you say it in Hebrew? That's the right way to say it.
Ruach.
Ruach. Okay. So you go look at So you go look up the Ruach, and this word is everywhere. But then it just so happens the man that the people picked, it just so happens it's 178 for him, what he went searching for. All of a sudden, you realize real quick, this ain't that spirit. That's why it's familiar to a man.
He left the milk and honey and went searching for the thorns and thistles.
That's exactly where he went. There's too much here. For a person to say they don't see any of this, it is evidently clear. I'll believe them. I'll believe. You either see it or you don't, man. And you can get mad all you want to, but I'm sitting there telling you, you have become familiar with the Bible that don't exist. I'm sorry. You are so focused on the physical story of the Bible that the word has no effect to you. You have become Saul of Tarsus, and you need to become descaled and become Paul, the apostle, and become a teacher. You've been reading the Bible for so many years, and you failed.
Well, the scales are so tight, the air can't penetrate it.
Exactly. That's exactly
I'm
what
gonna
it is.
say it's a lot of tartar sauce Christians out there.
Oh, it is. It is. And you know how you know if they're God's disciple? Because they know how to love one another. So if I'm telling you you're blind, show me in the Bible how that's wrong to tell someone that they need to have their eyes opened. That's not wrong. But let me tell you what is wrong. When you call someone a heretic and a Pharisee, but yet deep down, you know that you're the problem. But yet everybody's the problem. So you hop around from person to person, from church to church, from relationship to relationship. Do what?
Live to live.
What?
Live to
Easy
live.
now. He throwing shots at me.
No. No.
Of course.
No,
not.
I guarantee you I ain't throwing shops. To be a matter of fact,
No, not you, Trot.
Oh, Dre playing around. Yeah, and let me tell you, I'm gonna say this again. This ain't got nothing to do with no TikTok. This ain't got nothing to do with. They're on here too. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, they're on here, but there is just people, man, that you can talk to them about the love of God all you want to, and the way they see it, they don't have to love you, and they're right. They don't, because they have a choice. They could eat from the tree of life, which would produce life. It would produce peace between them and whoever. But they don't want to choose life. They want to choose good and evil. I'm good and you're
Hey,
and
try
you're
Jesse's in the
yeah.
house. Jesse's in the house. What's up,
Which
Jesse?
one? Which Jesse? Oh, Jesse,
Our
Jesse.
Jesse,
What
bro.
up?
Mira.
Mira, loca,
Chancleta,
loca,
la
loca.
chancleta.
La chacleta,
Yeah,
chocolato.
you see how quiet Bill's been because his girl's not been on the live with us.
I
He
know he
don't
been
argue as
sad.
much. He be real quiet.
He been sad. He been sad, bro. Bill's like, hey, I bet you Bill's like, man, shut up.
Right?
Yeah. So look at here. So he goes to familiar spirits in the kingdom of Jesus, my friend. In the land, there's not going to be familiar spirits. God looked, he searched and searched, and he could not find a man. So he had to become this man because a man couldn't do it. We learned that from the garden. Adam was perfect and he still failed. God had just made him. He was perfect.
Boy, it didn't last one day.
Didn't last. Well, I mean, you know, it could have been a week. It could have
I'm
been a
just
year.
saying.
But
I'm just saying.
no, but you're right. He didn't last long at all. This is what we do know. We know that Adam and Eve did not eat from the tree of life. We know that. And people can sit here, you can sit here and twist it all you want, but they didn't. Because God said, let's remove them unless they live forever in their falling state, which means they have not eaten from the tree of life. So when people say, well, you can't prove that. Okay, fine. Let's not split hairs. How about we just do this today? Today, it's still true. There are two trees, the tree of knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. And I set before you life and death. Choose life. The answer's there. Choose life. You know, the tree of life. There's only one life in the Bible. There's only one life. Choose life. You have a choice. And how do you choose life? You choose God. How do you choose God? God is love. And you're supposed to love one another. That's how you choose life. If you didn't know how to choose life, there you go. When you're tempted to hate someone or you're tempted to call them a false prophet, a heretic, guess what? See if you can love them. I wonder why you can't. No, I do love. No, gossip is not love, my friend. I'm sorry. Next time you have a friend gossiping about another believer, or how about this? If the person is claiming to be a believer and you say, well, I don't care, I'll never believe it, false prophet, heretic. Okay, all right, well, go ahead and choose hate then. And ask yourself, what makes it so easy for you to choose hate? Maybe you're eating from the wrong tree. You have to think about that. You need to try God, which is love. You can sit here and memorize verses all you want, but you need to put God on for a minute. And let me say this. So Saul is going to a land where there's familiar spirits. He's not going to the land flowing of milk and honey. No, because milk and honey come from God, and God is love. So he's not choosing love. He's not choosing, okay, God cut me off, I'm going to obey God. No. He already didn't obey God. When God hadn't cut him off, he already wasn't obeying him. Make sure when you go into the land, kill everything. Did he kill everything? No. You know how we know? Because there's still familiar spirits. He didn't kill everything, bro. But he had the opportunity. And he said, if you would have done what I told you, your kingdom would have reigned forever. I don't care what you say. He had an opportunity. Even though David was anointed to be king, if Saul would have done what God have told him, he would have reigned forever. You can't forget that. It's showing you something. And I know, I don't know what it's showing me. I'm just going to say, well, King David was king. That's all that matters. Well, obviously that is all that matters when it comes to Jesus and the shadows and those things. It does. But let me tell you what really does matter is God gave him a chance that he would have reigned forever. If not, then God's a liar because he's the one that said it. So it does matter. But why? Why does it matter? And that's why we're going over this. It matters because Saul, not only, because we're talking about this part in 1 Samuel 28. That's why I'm doing all this, is because we're talking about Saul in 1 Samuel 28, where he goes to this medium. We have to understand who this man was, who chose him. The people did, not God. The people did, not God. And he goes to this quote unquote familiar spirit. And then you look up this word spirit in Hebrew, and it just so happens not to be what we think. It's not the Ruach spirit, okay? The spirit of life from God. It's not that. That's not the spirit. Matter of fact, when you're searching this word, it uses a very weird word to explain.
Yeah, I was looking at
itself.
that. It was saying prattling.
Yeah, do you know what that is? Or no, prattle, but it's prattling.
Yeah, prattling.
Yeah, it's talking about a foolish talk. It's a person that it's foolish talk, insequential. So it's like someone goes to Walmart and you're like, hey man, how was it at Walmart? Oh man, I went into Walmart. I saw this little duck. It was oh my God, it was so cute. And there was this little monito thing right there. And then I saw this mug and it said smile, and I put on a big old smile. And then 30 minutes go by and they didn't say a darn thing. That's what prattling is.
Hey, it says apparently through the idea of prattling a father's name properly, a mumble, i.e., it says a water skin from a hollow sound, hence a necromancer, I can't ever pronounce that word, ventriloquist from a jar, a bottle, or a familiar spirit.
Yeah, hollow. Okay, so again, you cannot put new wine into old wineskin.
No life in it.
No life. That's what but I'm focusing on what prattling is. But what does it say there? Prattling of a father? How's it say it, Dre?
It says a father's name. Exactly.
No, read it.
It says apparently through the idea.
I think it says it should say prattling of a father's name.
Yeah, I'm trying to read it. It says apparently through the idea of prattling a father's name.
Okay, right. Through a father's name. Okay, but first we need to go over prattling, right? I'm going over right now.
And you pronounce this word Obi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just so you know.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Okay, so prattling listen, a prattling person can be a person that just went to court, okay? And let's say they went to court and if you know someone that is in this type of situation, or you are yourself, I don't. At the moment, I'm naming something that I have no part of, and I'm doing it on purpose because we all know this is and I've listened to some of these cases in person. I've never been through this type of situation myself. So if you have, this ain't got nothing to do with you, but this is a hard time for certain people when they go through this. But a person that has lost their child through the court system or any kind of way, okay? And I'm not talking about unaliving. I'm just going to point out through the courts. Let's say the court says, quote unquote, we deem you unworthy. They do use some harsh words, but they choose that this kid don't need to be with you no more. If you were to talk to that person immediately after trial and you're like, hey man, how are you doing? How'd it go in court? And they're like, there was this judge, they were dressed like an idiot anyway. And the judge was just so dumb. And they had the bailiff in there. I don't even know why he was 400 pounds overweight. Before you know it, 30 minutes went by and there was no validity in anything they said. They didn't talk about the kid. They didn't talk about how they felt, nothing. All they did was come up to you, worshiping their belly and showing you how much that they're in their flesh, prattling. A person that's not prattling will be like, this is a very sad moment. I can't believe I lost my kid. Everything means something. All the words have meaning. Excuse me. So this says prattling of a father. How's it worded, Dre?
Father's name.
Yeah, prattling a father's name. What is a father's name? What is that? What's a father's name, man?
I don't know. How are you asking this question, bro?
However you want to answer it. What does that mean? A father's name. What is a father's name?
Like your genealogy?
Well, she's talking foolishly, talking recklessly.
Hold on, whoa. Let's not talk about her. No. One thing at a time. So we know what prattling is.
A
description of who he is. Bro.
Okay, all right, look. All right, check it out. Back in the day, bro. First of all, I'm being vague, and I apologize. So I understand why y'all are confused. That's my fault. Let me back off. I'm not asking the right question, so that's my fault. Well, let's just talk about back in the day. Let's look at Jesus when he talks about the prodigal son. What does he say to the servant put on his son? Do y'all remember?
Say that one more again.
Put on the
Sorry.
cloak
The
and the ring, right?
Yeah, his signet. His signet.
There you go. Okay, so he said put a ring on his hand. Why? Because whenever they mailed a letter out, they would seal it with the family crest, the family name, right? So think about prattling, and it says prattling of the father's name. No validity.
Yep, they just
Oh, that's
angry.
good. That answers the question right there.
Oh, it answers the question, right? But you have to diligently search it out. You slow down. Just
that's
slow
good.
down. Just slow down. Think about where Saul is going. Think about who he's representing when he goes to this land, and you can see it. There's no validity in nothing he's doing. There's no worthiness in anything that he's doing. He's in his
Hold on. Go
flesh.
over the signet thing again. I missed it. It must have went
Oh,
over
my
my head
God.
for a
Okay,
second.
look, there's a YouTube channel.
Oh Lord, here we go.
Are you working or what? What's going on
Yeah,
here, man?
of course I'm working. It's past 10 o'clock. We're past our normal
You're
time.
right.
So
You're
I'm like,
right. I apologize. Okay. Dre, what did the prodigal son, what did Jesus say that the father told the servants to put on the prodigal son? Name all the items. What was it?
a new clothing, a ring, and sandals.
And sandal. Put sandals on his feet. Okay, the ring on the finger, we know 90% of the time, bro, if it was the family ring, it had a family crest.
100%.
It literally meant redemption, redeemed in the fire. You're not Jose, you're not Snow, you're not a Snow. For the Game of Thrones guy, you're not a Snow, okay? So whenever they would like buy something, bro, like it was credit on demand, right?
Right.
COD. It
Right.
was you mail a letter, you seal it with the ring with wax. It had the family crest. It had validity. There was something there.
Right.
So prattling a father's name, prattling a father's name,
It's
meaning
not valid.
it has no meaning to you. It has no meaning to you. It
Yeah.
has no meaning to you. That's why he's more worried about himself. What did he tell Samuel when the kingdom was stripped away? He's like, okay, fine, but at least for the people's sake. Bro, he only cared what the people thought, man. Oh, my Lord, bro. You know why? Because the people picked him. That's why. Because the people picked him. So he's only trying to please the people. Because the people picked him. So in his eyes, if I can just please the people, not God, the people.
That's kind of the same scenario, wouldn't you say, between Cain and Abel?
Well, it's the same scenario everywhere.
Cain
We
knowing
could do
that
we could
Abel was picked.
yes. Yes, we can do that, but for what purpose? Why do we see this continuously? For what purpose? What's the whole point? Why do we see this in Cain and Abel? Why do we see this to the two men that's in prison with Joseph when Joseph interprets the dreams? One was to live, one was to die. Why do we see this through Jacob and Esau? On and on. Why? Why do we see this? Anybody?
It's the duality of the tree of life and the tree of knowledge and good and evil.
Yes, over and over, man. Stop compartmentalizing things in the Bible. It's telling you the same thing, that you are Saul and you chose yourself to be king. And the Bible says when you do that and Jesus comes in your life and you realize who the true king is, you will abhor yourself. You will
So
abhor
that's why Matthew
yourself.
24 talks about, one grinding at the meal, or two grinding at the meal, one taken and one left.
That's
Yeah,
why we
Same
do
thing
everything.
over
That's
and
why
okay,
we
over
hold
do
and
on.
over.
everything.
Hold on a second. So which one stayed? Mac? One was taken and one was left. Who left, and why did this person be left, or what?
The meek shall inherit the earth.
Okay, but why was one left? It says one will be at the meal Two will be at the mill. One will be taken away. One will leave. Two will be in the field. One will be taken away. Who's being left?
The meek.
Well, you're using one word. There's many words to describe, but who's being left?
The believer.
Prove it. Why is it a believer or why is it not?
He says they're gonna gather. He said the reapers are gonna come and gather all the tares.
All right. Let me say this. Somebody will be. What does it say about the meal? Somebody be grinding. Two will be grinding at the meal, right? Hello.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
What is grinding at the meal? What
Because
is
one's
that?
actually working and the other one's not. The other one's being slothful.
Okay, so you're saying that that the worker is left behind, or not? Who's being left behind?
The one working would be left behind.
Okay, so grinding at the mill is working, right? Two will be in the field, right, but one is left. What is that? What does that mean? Two's in the field. What field?
The fields are white and ready for harvest, but there's no labor.
Okay, but how are they? What's a field though? What's the field? Not the worker that's working. What's the field? What's happening with this?
Oh.
What is the field? Let me ask you. It's the same thing. What's grinding at the mill? What's the field? It's not talking about workers, people that are working.
Yes.
Yeah. So the workers are left behind. The workers. That's why Esau had the smell of a field. He was a worker of the field. He was the firstborn, red, ruddy. Jesus is the gardener, the firstborn, red and ruddy. The worker will be left behind. Why in the world would the slothful be left behind, not doing no work?
Well, they're taken to be cast into the fire. That's why they
Well, let's not get into all that. Hold on a second. Wait. I already know where all this is going. Look, listen. All I'm saying is we have the worker of the field living in us and we work. That's all I'm saying. So Jesus is the only worker. And without him, I'm telling you, there's no work that's going to be done. So Saul was not even working for the Lord, because if he was, he would have listened to the Lord when the Lord told him to kill everything in the land, right? True or not true? True or not true?
True.
Okay, so he didn't do what God was telling him to do. Let me ask you this. Why would he start listening now? God told him everything's been stripped from you. Your kingdom is gone. And he's like, no, man, I got to search another way. So he goes back to a land that has familiar spirits. He goes back to a land that has familiar spirits, wearing different remnant. And he learned of this person through his own servants. What do servants represent in the Bible? What's a servant?
Faith.
Well, faith is your servant if you're using that servant.
Yeah, I know. I'm
What
just
else could it
messing.
be?
I know what you mean. It just,
Yeah. So his servants, instead of leading him in another direction, it led him straight to these familiar spirits. His servants did. So there's so many things that are pointing out. Jesus is faith. He is our servant. He came to serve, not to be served. He came to serve. And he leads us in the way of the Father. That's how he leads us. God's way, through love. But Saul had servants that knew exactly where to find these familiar spirits. And it just so happened this spirit is not the spirit that we're all familiar with, because it's another type of familiar spirit. Because remember, he wasn't chosen by God. He was chosen by the people, not by God. It was God that was listening to all the people. That's what they wanted. So that's what he gave them. That's what they wanted. So he's talking to this woman, and we get here, and the woman's representing the spirit. If you don't know that, I do not understand what you think you're reading. Now, was Saul a real man, a real king? Yes, those are real people, man. Was there really a physical woman there? Yes, these are all real people. But what the word is showing is what has always been true. It's always been true. She said, who shall I bring up? Say, you should bring up Samuel. And she said, what she says, and when the woman saw Samuel, so this woman is telling Saul that she sees Samuel. This is what she's saying. And I guarantee you, there's probably a part in here that you just let pass. You just let it go. I guarantee you. And I'm telling you, it's always the thing that you think is significant or not significant, or actually you'll think it's not significant. He said, the woman saw Samuel. She cried with a loud voice. She cried why would Samuel make her cry? That's kind of weird. But she cried with a loud voice, and the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul.
She cried because she saw. Well, I don't know. Never mind. Let me backtrack that. Delete.
Now remember.
Well, it's because she was banished before, and Samuel was probably part of that, for being God's word, banishing them.
Well, let's go over this one part again, though. If the king was chosen by God, right? Or matter of fact, let's just go straight to the jugular, Jesus. When Jesus becomes king, and I'm talking about the great day, y'all know what I'm talking about. Let's not split hairs. When he becomes king, is there going to be any familiar spirits in that land?
Negative.
Nope.
Okay.
All that's out of there.
All right. All that's done with, bro. All that's done with, man. So let's not lose focus on the main objective here. The main objective is to try to understand why this is panning out the way it's panning out. But if you don't understand how Saul was chosen, who chose him, why he was chosen, if you're not understanding all that, this ain't going to make no sense. That's why I'm saying people are not as familiar with the Bible as they claim. They're not. There is so much minutia. You know what? And it's Jesus that put all this in there. You know, for who? For those that have ears to hear. Period. The end. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. When me and Dre first met, I'd say some stuff and Dre be like, hold on a second, man. Whoa. And I'm like, what? And at first I didn't know why he kept saying, hold on. But what he's doing is, you think, come on, man, listen, you've been reading the Bible for 20, 30 years, bro. When somebody says something, you really think that a person that has devoted themselves to God is just going to listen to any man or woman ranting on? You use your own logic here for a second. Why would a person that has devoted the whole life to God just sit here and just eat anything that anybody says? Don't you think they're going to go back and look themselves? This is what I'm saying. It's so funny that people think they are so smart that they figured out why other people can contest to what someone else is saying. They're like, oh, you're just being brainwashed. Oh, I've heard it before. And they're not looking at the person that they're pointing the finger to. Oh, you are being brainwashed. The person's like, excuse me? I've devoted my life to God. What are you talking about? Like as if this person has never read the Bible, like he just some moron that come off the street. And I'm like, hey, man, I got a pretty good idea. Want to hear it? It's so stupid. Oh, and then finally the person's like, hey, I've been reading the Bible for 20, 30 years. Oh, I don't know how you're being deceived. Or something else is going on. And I'm saying all that to say this. It is not okay to compartmentalize stories. You need to understand why Saul was chosen. Who was he chosen? And it makes it so much more simple because you can see that he's going back to a familiar spirit. Why? Because man chose him. Men, not God. If God would have chose him, then there wouldn't be any of these familiar spirits.
They got what they asked for.
Exactly. That's why when they received the law right before, they said, any law that he gives us, we can do it. You don't think for a second that was a boast, a physical boastful thing to say? Any law I could see him say, oh, well, I guess we're not there yet. So any law. Okay. Well, let's just start with 10. They broke the first one. They broke the first one, man. Any law that you give us, we can do. And people don't understand that that's why the law was given right there. Because they still thought they can do it. No, you don't understand. Only God can do it. Period. The end. It's always been that way. It's always been the truth. Then this woman, whom shall I bring? Okay, bring up Saul. All right. And the woman spake to Saul. Okay, so she cried. She saw Samuel. She spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. Well, that's funny. When you're looking at the remnant, it's talking about deception. That's what it's talking about. And she's deceived. Why? Because he does have a certain look. And now he takes away that look to look like something else. Why? Because he's trying to listen to familiar spirits, right? He's in the dark. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? Whatever you saw that feared you, don't be afraid. And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. That's what she said. And when you go look it up in Hebrew, it's really weird. Let's see, St. Los. We are on 1 Samuel chapter 28, 13. Chapter 28, 13. And the king said unto her, be not afraid for what you saw. And she said, I saw gods ascending. When you go study this in Hebrew, man, it's really weird. It's like talking about like Superman. Like she saw Superman coming out of the ground. Like it doesn't say the word Superman, but that's kind of like what she's saying she saw. That I saw Superman come out of the ground pretty much. And he said unto her, and Dre, go look up the word form right here. 1 Samuel 28:14, it says, he says to her, what form is he of?
28:14. Give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm at 28:9, 28:14. The word, and she said to him, what form? Form is tor, which is shape, form, outline, figure, appearance.
What's the Hebrew number?
H 8388.
8388. It's been a while since I looked. 8388.
Oh, well, actually, that's the root word. Sorry, take that back.
No, yeah. Give me the actual number. 388.
8389.
Unc said 388.
8389.
It's 389.
No, it's 8389.
8389. 8389. $83.89. Okay.
Uh-oh, Dre.
Oh, you about to get it in, huh?
We back at it, man.
What's up? I need to get back in there, bro. I've been lacking, bro. It's so cold out here, bro. I cannot work out in the cold. I'm like, the cold is my kryptonite, bro.
Hey, you tell that flesh to shut up.
I want to.
You do.
I want to.
Yeah, this is your sign to get back.
I got a gym in my garage, bro. I might just hit it today after my wife goes to work.
So look, when you look at the root word, it talks about marked out, right? Like a mark, a line, scratched out, marked out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the word itself, 89, right? Ta'ar, right? And it's talking about out of line. It says figure, appearance, and then it says beautiful countenance. Beautiful countenance is what it says, man. So he says, and if you don't understand that, like, man, God almighty, if you don't understand that. But she says, but it's him. He's asking. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Okay. What form is he of? What form what marked out, lined out. You can say it however you want, but it's just not a coincidence the way it says. And it says a beautiful countenance. A beautiful countenance. And he said, what form is he of? And she said, an old man cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stooped his face to the ground and bowed himself. So Saul is bowing himself to what appears right now to be Samuel, right? The prophet. Which makes sense. It should make sense 100% why he's bowing himself to Samuel, because Saul, just pay attention to his lifestyle, everything about him. Of course, there are times where there's amazing things happening between him and God, but you have to understand the people chose him. You have to understand this. It's God showing this grace, love, and mercy to Saul because the people chose him. So he's honoring it. This is what blows my mind. People claim to know God very well, but they do not understand that he honors the choice you make, whether it's right or wrong. Let me ask you this. If God's trying to be these people's kings and they're like, no, we want this man, why would he honor it? If he knows it's not the king, why is he honoring it? When Satan was told, to the belly may you go and may you eat dust all the days of your life, why is he honoring Satan making such dumb choices? Why does he honor it? When Adam and Eve when Eve was being deceived by Satan and she believed the lies that he said, and she gave those words to Adam and he ate them, meaning he believed what she said and they died. Why did he honor it? Why? Why does God continuously honor a person's choice? Why? Does anyone know why?
That's the embodiment of love.
Right. That's exactly what it is. That's the whole point. Because love is an action. It's not a feeling. Love is not a feeling. Trust me.
Well, I've also said that's the exact reason why, John the Baptist was made to be mute, so he couldn't speak and alter the plans of God, or with his unbelief.
Well, this is what we can say about John the Baptist. He still had a choice.
Oh, you mean his dad, Zacharias?
Yeah, Zechariah.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, no, I know what you meant. But either way, people still have a choice. Even if you can't talk, I can still walk up to someone and smack them. I don't have to hate them with words. I can physically just smack them, right? Or I can just hate them in my heart and call them all kinds of names, whether they're a believer or not. Call them a heretic, blasphemous, false prophet. People are crazy, bro. So, and Samuel said to Saul, so he's bowing down to him. Remember, he wasn't chosen by God. He was chosen by people. This is all about people. Saul is doing all of this for people, not God. He doesn't honor God. It makes it so evidently clear. Not only did God tell him the kingdom's been stripped away, unalive all these animals and all this stuff. He didn't listen. And then the kingdom has been stripped away. Man, whatever. Whatever, bro. I'm going to go talk to Samuel, bro. Samuel's going to know. The man's going to know. The man's going to know. Not God, the man. And he tells him here in a minute, I talked to God and he left me. So I go to you, Samuel. So he says, he went to the ground, he bowed himself. So this 1 Samuel 28, we're at 14. He bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me? What does that word mean? Dre, disquitted.
Disquitted. We didn't look that one up, did we? Not yet.
Well, we need to.
Okay, so what verse is that in? Oh, I see
For,
it.
14.
Disquieted.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Disquieted.
Well, however, disquieted,
Yeah,
disquitted.
disquieted. That's correct.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's that? Taking the hide off a squid?
Uh,
Yeah.
no, it's talking about being descaled. He's like, why hast thou descaled me? Nah. So I
Basically,
don't
to
know.
It
Look,
basically
tremble, to
means to
wake,
be.
to rage, to
Mhm.
quiver, to be agitated, to be excited, to be perturbed, to be disquieted, to be enraged, to be disturbed, to excite oneself.
yeah, definitely disturbed. So he's like, why hast thou disturbed me? Let me see. Let's see. Yeah. So he says, why have you disturbed me to bring me up? So here's where questions come up. Well, where was he? Where was Samuel? How was this woman able to like bring up Samuel? Right? Here's come all these questions. How was this able to happen? How was familiar spirits? How was this able? If you don't understand what's going on here, guys, if you don't understand what's going on here, this is actually really simple. Let me ask you this: what belly is Saul in?
The beast, the dry
Right.
It,
belly.
he's in his flesh.
He's in his flesh 100%, man. He is in his flesh 100%. This is the familiar spirit. So a hard time goes down and we just get in our belly about it. Because remember, we've already made it clear, he doesn't honor God. God said, kill all these animals. He doesn't do it. Okay, well, your kingdom has been stripped. Whatever. Okay. And now he's crying. Well, God don't want nothing to do with me. Nobody wants nothing to do with me. Samuel. But you, Samuel, you. He's in his belly and he's crying. This is what he's doing. Don't you understand what he's doing? Instead of girding his loins like a man, he falls to the ground and he's talking like this to a man. So God isn't answering him, but a man will. He's in his belly 100%. That's what's happening here. He's in his flesh. He's in his belly. That's the familiar spirit that he's with. He says, why have you bothered me? And he answered, watch this, he put, I am sore distressed. And I did look it up, and it does talk about bitter. He's bitter. Throughout the Bible, this word bitterness is telling us answers. Naomi says, call me no more Naomi, which by the way means pleasant. Don't call me pleasant. We just went over pleasant sight. Pleasant sight. All the trees that God planted were pleasant to the sight. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil was not planted by God because it would have already have been pleasant and they would have been able to eat of it. And God wouldn't have said, don't eat. He wouldn't have said that because he put the tree there. He did not put the tree there. This is the problem. He did not put the tree there, man. That's right. Tammy put Mara. Yes. And the water was called Mara, for it was bitter. Is it a coincidence that Mary's name is Mara? That's a coincidence? She was bitter until the tree of life was planted in her, who was Jesus. That's because we're all Mara, all of us. We were all bitter, searching him. And then we received him, all of us. Talking about the spirit. Our spirit was bitter, Mara. We didn't have rivers of living water in our belly. We had bitterness. And out of all the words that could be used, he says, I am bitter. This is what he's telling Samuel. That's how you know he's in his belly. It will constantly point you to a truth. If you just slow down and study everything slowly, you'll see it, what he's saying. I am bitter. The only way you could be bitter is to not be sweet. And the only way that you cannot be sweet, and we see it, God's already removed you from the kingdom already. Now you're bitter. Now what? You're lacking and in want. The measuring thing we talked about the other day. You're in want. If you have Christ, you're not in want, my friend. But if you don't have Christ, you're pretty out there. You're pretty bitter. But Naomi said, "Call me no more Naomi," which means pleasant. "Call me no more Naomi. Call me bitter," she said. Why would someone change their name from being pleasant to bitter unless the author is the same author, showing you the same thing every time? And this man right here, who was supposed to be the king of Israel, says, "I am bitter." How? We all know how. But he says, "I'm bitter." He says, "Why hast thou bothered me, disturbed me?" He said, "To bring me up." And Saul answered, "I am sore distressed." And it literally says bitter. I am bitter. "For the Philistines make war against me." Watch this. Who are the Philistines making war against? Anybody?
God, bro.
Israel.
Against
Israel,
yeah.
which is God. And he said, "They make war against me." Bro, the answer is given in like every sentence if you just pay attention. He is self-centered. This is all about him. He is self-centered. Israel has made war against me. What? What type of delusion? You have to be bitter. There's no way God is in you for you to say that. That they make war against me. He doesn't even understand this is all self-induced. You did this to yourself. The people wanted a king, so they made you king, and you failed. And you are still seeking through your belly some way of redemption. There's only one way to be redeemed, and it's Christ. So he literally is trying to claim he's being persecuted, bro. Can you imagine? That'd be like a Christian slapping someone in the back of the head, go to jail. And you're only putting me in jail because I'm a Christian. Oh, my Lord. Some of that stuff just kills me. Everything's persecution. Everything. Like, no, bro. Stop being dumb, dude. Why are you going around
Imagine
slapping?
attacking another country, poking the bear, the beehive there, and then they retaliate and say, "Oh, we're oppressed."
Well, either way. Let's not get into that. Well, that's another topic. But the point is, I'm talking about in America, okay? In America, you claim to be a Christian and you go to a store, steal $200 of, I don't know. Let's say you go steal $200 worth of meat at a grocery store. I understand you're hungry. I get it. But to say you're not stealing, though, is a complete lie. You are stealing. So then someone takes you to jail and you start saying, "It's because I'm persecuted."
Yeah.
Oh, man, bro.
Saul's accountability is at an all-time low right now.
Yes, sir. No accountability.
I think Dre wanted to admonish me there for a second, but you just talked over him.
No, I didn't say nothing.
Can y'all not hear me?
Oh, I thought you said host.
No.
Can y'all hear me?
Oh, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay. All right. Well, Mac, I'm sorry. Mac confused me. Mac made it sound like maybe. All right. Anyway. All right. So he says, "Okay, I'm bitter for the Philistines make war against me." First of all, that's a lie. Philistines are making war against Israel. Now, people, you go through this story, and they're like, "No, it says it went to war against Saul. It says right here." Man, listen. These people were fighting before Saul became king. Y'all don't remember when the judge of Israel, Samson, was fighting the Philistines? Let's not lose focus here. Let's not lose focus. I understand, obviously, they want to unalive Saul because he's king. Oh, my Lord, obviously. But I'm saying the Philistines are always fighting the Jews. Why? Because the flesh and the spirit are enmity to one another. It's all about the seed. It's all about the carnal mind. Come on, man. I can just hear people's minds splitting hair over there. No, duh, they want to kill Saul. I get it. Trust me. I'm saying don't lose focus on the totality. of the entirety of the Bible. Don't lose focus. Stay focused. Let's concentrate on the meat and not the potatoes, okay? Stop focusing on the potatoes and the peas. Focus on the meat, on the whole story. Keep it relevant, because it is. They war against me, and it says, and God has departed from me, and answereth me no more. Neither by prophets, that part is so funny to me, bro. Neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore, I have called thee. So God has left me, so I'm going to go back to my belly. I'm going to go back to my belly. He says, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do. Bro. I don't care what God has to say, but as long as you tell me what I should do, then I'll be all right. And if you can't see the problem, then you're not understanding what's going on. He left beautiful, guys. He left beautiful. Joppa. Same thing with Jonah. Jonah left Joppa. He left the presence of God, and he got swallowed up by a big fish. He left the presence of God. That's Joppa. And Jonah left Joppa. Beautiful. Constantly, the Bible's telling us, don't leave the presence of God. Don't leave the land flowing with milk and honey. Well, this man obviously entered a different land, seeking a different spirit, wearing a different remnant. Everything about him's in his belly. What belly? The belly he had before he was in the presence of God. That belly. That's where he's at. In his feelings, obviously fleshly feelings. So he's like, I called on thee, that thou may know what I should do. Then Samuel, then said Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask me, seeing that the Lord is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy? Notice there's a question mark right there. Y'all see that? Seeing that the Lord has departed from thee and has become thy enemy? So, is God your enemy all of a sudden? Bro, it's so evidently clear. It's funny. People can hear this story 50 times in the Bible, but because it's different characters, they think it's something different happening. Bro, it's the same thing. It's just different characters. It's always the same thing.
Well, and the way that the Bible is speaking there is that this was actually Samuel.
Well, who said it is, or who said it wasn't actually Samuel?
Well, that was our question. Like, was it or, not? But the way it's worded there, you're led to believe that it is Samuel that he's actually talking to. So did this lady was she actually able to conjure up the spirit of Samuel, or is it something that God just did in the moment?
Well, that's the question. Now, let's see. Does the Bible tell us that God has removed himself from Samuel? Does the Bible tell us that?
Yeah.
It does, right? So
God removed himself from Saul, not Samuel.
Saul, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Saul. Right. My bad. I'm a false prophet, so I don't know my Bible.
False teacher.
So Saul, yes, obviously. So the thing is this: the question has to be answered. It has to be asked. It has to be understood. Did God remove himself from Saul? That's the question. If the answer is yes, then there is a different way to see what's taking place. Now, if you say, no, he didn't leave him. It was God that brought Samuel back to Saul. But only one of them could be true. And we just went over the whole thing that is proven what state of mind that he's in. He's in his flesh. He's wearing something different. He's in the night. His servants knew how to find a familiar spirit. The familiar spirit obviously is going back to bitterness, which is who you were before you received the living water. You were bitter. He's going back to nothing but just a man. At this point right here, Saul is nothing but a man right here. He is not the king of Israel. Now, you can say the piece of paper still says he's king, but what I'm trying to tell you, he is not the king of Israel right here. There is nothing about him that is saying king of Israel, but everything about him is saying he's just a man. That's all he is. So,
He's definitely not behaving like a king.
no, absolutely. He's not. He's not being a king. If you cannot see that, then I'm sorry. I'm going to say it again, hurt your feelings. You could talk about me bad next week. But you're not understanding what you're reading. He is not king here. Does the piece of paper somewhere say that he's still king? Yes, 100%. 100%. But the king of the people doesn't have familiar spirits to go back to. You need to know that. There's no familiar spirits. There's no other way. There's no other way. But Saul, Saul's got another way. I'm going to figure this out. I got this, bro. I got this. So, all right, so I'm going back to 15. He said, God has departed from me and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. He's trying anything. Dreams, prophets, I'm not hearing nothing from him. Therefore, I have called thee that thou mayest make me known to what I shall do. And then Samuel, wherefore then dost thou ask of me? Like, why are you asking me if you know that God's departed you? Because who does Samuel speak for? Who does Samuel
spoke for God.
He spoke for God. So Samuel's telling him, you think I'm going to tell you something different? Is that what kind of fool you become? You think I'm going to tell you something different, Saul? And he tells him, he reminds him, watch. He says, seeing the Lord is departed from thee and is become thy enemy? So is he your enemy that you think you're going to come to me in your flesh and think that somehow I'm going to speak against what he's already said?
Yeah, choose sides with you.
Exactly. So notice he's in his flesh, and the Bible says that the spirit and flesh are what?
At enmity.
They're enmity. What does that mean? Hostile, hateful. So what is Saul, by his actions, what is he saying about God?
That God is hostile towards him.
No, that they're enemies now. Yes, you're right. But he's treating God as an enemy, not his redeemer, right. Not his redeemer. Pay attention. He's not treating God as a redeemer. He's treating him as an enemy, not the redeemer. It has to be seen. It has to be. You have to be able to see what he's doing. It looks like he's sad, like God's left me and da-da-da. No, my friend. If you don't understand why that question mark is there, then you're not understanding what Samuel is telling him. You're not paying attention to what Samuel is saying to him. So you're saying, oh, so he's departed you, so now he's your enemy? Bro, so God don't know what's best, bro? That's what you're telling me?
Right. Instead of looking at it like God is just, and
right.
He's just replacing me.
Yeah. Yes. That's why I'm saying he never truly listened to God. Hey, go kill all those people. Okay. Samuel's like, hey, well, what's all this noise? Well, I thought all he's thinking about is himself and the people the whole time. Himself and the people, because he's got Samuel. He's got Samuel there. Himself and the people.
And if you look at it, though, it's like just like other kings, ungodly kings, right? The Babylonians and stuff, how they would turn to their seers, to their things that they thought would bring them prosperity or bring them, strength, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Samuel is the exact same as them, no difference. He's not really relying on God. He's just using Samuel almost like the rest of the nations would when they're talking about their whole pantheon. Like Samuel is just something that's bringing him luck right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you pay real close attention and you finally get to this part right here, you see what he has literally has become like nothing but a man, and now relying on man. So he's trying to get Samuel to like understand his viewpoint. And Samuel says, wait a minute, and I'm going to say it again. He says, wherefore then dost thou ask me? Like, if you already know God has departed, why are you asking me? Like, if I'm going to choose your side, like the way you're thinking. He says, why asking me, seeing the Lord has departed from thee and has become thy enemy? Question mark. Not, he's departed from you and became your enemy. No. Hold on. No. Has he become your enemy? It's a question. That's why I told y'all, sometimes go find some questions in the Bible and see if you can answer it. I'm not kidding. It's amazing. The journey itself is amazing. Go find some random question in the Bible and see if you can answer that question. And I'm telling you, if you can answer a lot of these questions that's in the Bible, you would be amazed at what you'll learn just by answering the question. Because at first, you're not going to be able to answer it. You're like, why is there a question there? You go study it in its original language. Somebody say, well, in the original language, it's not really a question there. And other people say, yeah, well, guess what? If you go study it out, you'll see that it actually is a question. It really is. So if it's a question, is it a statement? Is it rhetorical? What kind of question? We just went over the whole thing. You should be able to see 100% that Samuel is questioning something. So God's your enemy? That means he can see. He can see that he's become an enemy to God, or he's believing that, oh God, we're enemies now because he departed me, so we're enemies. So God is no longer a redeemer; he's his enemy now. That's what Saul is saying. That's why the question mark's there. He's become thine enemy. He says, and the Lord hath done to him as he spake by me. For the Lord hath rent the kingdom out of thy hand and given it to thy neighbor, even to David. And here he names it. But Saul's already known this. But notice, all that Samuel did is repeat what he said to him when he was alive. That's all he did. He repeated the exact same thing to him. He said,
Hey, sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to bounce out of here and go grab me some lunch real quick.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good.
All right, I enjoyed it this morning, though.
All right, Mac, peace. The
Right,
audacity of a man to think God is beefing with him.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy. But that's where he's at. And you can see it because of what he's wearing. It's nighttime. Everything is secretive. He's in a bad place. And then he calls himself bitter. That's no coincidence. Throughout the Bible, we see what bitterness is. That's why Naomi said, call me no more Naomi, call me bitterness. Call me no more Eden, call me desolate. That's what she's saying, because Eden is pleasant. Call me no more pleasant, call me bitterness. And people say, oh my gosh, she's just saying, I'm no longer happy, I'm sad. No. Obviously, that's what she's saying physically, but the rhema, the word, is showing you what she is, like her actions, why she's saying what she's saying. Because it all points back to Eden. Everything does. So he's basically repeating to him everything that he told him when he was alive. And he says, because thou obeyest not the voice of the Lord, bro. You did this, dude. This is all self-induced. And you're coming over here asking me, what should you do? I've already told you. I already told you, dude. And he says, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek. And we know what that's referring to. If not, you should, because that's we keep bringing it up. He says, therefore hath the Lord does this thing unto thee. He says, moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel. Notice he doesn't say you. Remember what he said? He said, the Philistines come after me. Right? Remember?
Yes, sir. Yep.
He said, but moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. So he's not just focused on Saul. He names all of Israel, but Saul leaves out Israel and he says, they come upon me. He says, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me where I am. Y'all shall be with me. Notice the question mark.
Oh, wow.
Is God your enemy? You think God's your enemy because he departed from you? You know what's sad? People think that Saul became God's enemy because it says it here. No, that's not what Samuel was saying. He's saying, you misunderstand, son. You misunderstand. There's a bigger thing going on here. And because you failed, there's only one king that can reign, but it ain't his time to reign. You misunderstand. You're misunderstanding, Saul. So when people read this, they see Saul as this enemy of God. No. Nope. He's not an enemy of God the way you think. He just couldn't do it. Don't you understand? I sought for a man and I could not find one. He couldn't do it. He could not find a man to be king of Israel, the promised land. He couldn't find anyone to be king, so he came. He came because God is the promised land. God is the promise. Jesus is Israel. That's why Jacob, one man, was called Israel. That's why. Why do you think a man was named Israel? Lord have mercy. There is one who is called Israel. And he says, moreover, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee into the hand of the Philistines. Notice he said Israel's going to be delivered to him too, not just you. This is not personal, Saul, while you're in your feelings. The people chose you, so God gave them what they wanted, but you fail because you're not the promise. That's why you fail. But you had a chance. If you would have done what God told you, then your kingdom would have reigned forever. But you couldn't do it. But God has to give the people what they want in that way so they can understand when the Messiah comes, so they can see why it never worked, Saul. There's nothing personal. It's like, yeah, but God knew it was going to happen. It doesn't matter. That's how much of a peanut brain that we have. Do we have to see that it didn't work? Because if not, we're going to still think it's going to work. We have to see it. It didn't work for this man. It didn't. Well, how come a man can't do it? Because you can't do it. It makes it easy to come to the end of yourself and say, oh, I can't do it. I get it. Even King David fell. He couldn't do it. How come nobody can do it? What's the problem? What's going on here? Oh, because God's saying, I can do it. I'll do it. And it's easy to humble yourself and say, oh, so you're not mad at us? No, I wasn't mad at Saul. You know, it says that God was kindled with fire, Saul and all that, he was mad at him and and you're thinking God's trying to banish everybody to hell and all this. You don't think he knew that Saul was a man? Are you serious right now? So God didn't know that he was a man and he was going to fail? Yes. The story still has to play out. We still have to see he was displeased with Saul. Yes, 100%. But he says, the Lord will also deliver Israel with thee, not just you. This ain't all about you. All of y'all, because you failed. But it ain't your fault. I knew you were going to fall. But that's what the people in 2023, Descaled is going to be going over this, and they need to see that no man can do it. Not even them. They can't do it. You can't do it. And God's not your enemy just because you can't, but there is one that is going to do it, and he did do it, and he finished it on the cross. He said, it is finished. And now we're doing it. We are doing it because he lives in us. But we're only doing it because he lives in us. Because without him, we couldn't do it. We're just like Saul, trying to do it on our own. You can't do it. So not just you, but all of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. He said, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. Y'all are going to be with me tomorrow. The Lord also shall deliver the host of Israel into the hand of the Philistines. Who's the host?
The host is the army.
Yeah, everybody. Israel, the host. The host is the people that fight for Israel, and you, all of y'all, because it's pointing to one thing, that a man cannot deliver you. It will never happen. Only God can do it. A soul for a soul. It was God's soul that was offered. Let my people go never stopped. It never stopped until Jesus said what he said. There was no let my people go. It was, it's finished. He took it. There was no begging and pleading when Jesus got here. There was no let my people go. He took it. Then Saul fell straightway. Man, page turned on me. All right. Then
Verse
Saul
20.
fell. Yeah, verse 20. Okay. Then Saul fell straightway all along on the earth and was sore afraid because the words of Samuel. And there was no strength in him, for he had eaten no bread all day nor all night. Well, we know that because there's only one bread that gives strength. And remember, he was in his flesh. So instead of taking care of it to God, he got in his flesh and he said, I'm going to go to a familiar spirit. Why? Because I want something to make me feel better. I want to feel better. And Saul told him, well, not only are you going to be in the hands of the Philistine, but the Israelites themselves, but even the host, all y'all, about to go in the hands of the. Oh, and by the way, you and your sons will be with me tomorrow. So, but he didn't eat nothing. And the woman came unto Saul and saw that he was sore troubled and said to him, behold, thy handmaid, watch this, thy servant hath obeyed thy voice, and I have put my life in my hand, and have hearkened unto thy words, which thou hast spaketh unto me. Now, therefore, I pray thee, hearken also unto my voice, thy handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee, and eat, that thou mayest have strength. Then thou goest on thy way. But he refused. Why? Why did he refuse bread? Because he's hard-headed. He's in his flesh. Stubborn. That's how he showed up. That's how he started all this. Stubborn. He refused. Why would a man refuse something that would strengthen him? What could she possibly be offering to him that would strengthen him? What strengthens a man? But he refused. And, you know, it's crazy. People read this and they're like, man, all she did was give him bread, man, okay? Because it makes you physically strong. Man, come on, man, stop. Yes. In real life, obviously. Yes, 100%. That is what happened. She gave him physical bread and he ate it. Yes. Duh. But we're talking about a man that's having this battle. This is what we're talking about. And it happens to everybody. You're tempted to get in your flesh. You're trying to handle things the way you would, right? Using hate. As soon as you find out that you lack respect for someone or you don't like someone, you do it God's way, or you can do it through a familiar spirit. Meaning you can go back to the old you and say, I know what I'll do. I'll gossip about them. But I don't want people to look at me bad. So I'll just say I'm doing it because the person's a false prophet. Now, we all hate false prophets and heretics. I know how to talk. I know how to gossip and get away with it. I'll just do it under the name false prophet and heretics. That's how I'm gonna be able to legally gossip about somebody. No, man. You need to get away from that familiar spirit and try love, because love never fails. But that method, it fails every time. You'll see. You'll see. And the woman came to Saul. All right, let's see. Hearken unto my words. Therefore, I pray thee, handmaid, eat. Okay, so we're at 23. 1 Samuel 28:23. But he refused and said, I will not eat. But his servants, together with the woman, compelled him. So now you have this woman and his servants telling him to eat. And he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth and sat upon the bed. And the woman had watch this, a fat calf in the house. If you don't know what a fatted calf is, it says in the house, and she hasted and killed it, took flour and kneaded it, watch this, and did bake unleavened bread. So even through all this, God showed him grace and mercy. And you can't see it.
Amen.
Because all you're thinking is he's just eating food because he's physically weak. No, you're missing it again. The Bible says that God will give you to a reprobate mind, meaning he will even honor the wrong decision you make. And everything that he did was in the flesh, and he had a reprobate mind at that moment, and God gave him over to it. But his servants and this woman beckoned him to eat, and he finally decided that he would eat, which means he casted his pride to the side. And they just so happened to have a fatted calf, and she hasted and killed it, took flour, kneaded it, and baked him unleavened bread. And she brought it before Saul and before his servants, and they did eat. Then they rose up and went away that night. So even in the midst of self-centeredness, right, moving away from the beautifulness of the Lord, being in your own bitterness, a desolate place. Yep, Big said it, the gospel. That's what you see here. Again, once again, that's what you see. So people want to know, okay, well, did this lady conjure up spirits or what? What happened? What did this lady really bring Saul? Like, what occurred here? In real life, yes, 100%, the lady made it to where Saul was talking to Samuel. You cannot allow the spiritual to negate the physical. It happened. That's exactly what happened. Now remember, we're on this side of the cross. Don't forget that. Even the rabbis tell us that there were things that were different back then. The rabbis tell us. They will. They'll say, no, there's stories about certain little weird things like this that happened a lot more frequent. And I will admit on this one, man, I don't know all the details on how, but I do know that the type of bondage that those people were in are different than the type of bondage we get in. Like once someone was trapped in some kind of way, like it was almost impossible for them to come out of it. But Christ is the one that made a way. But back then, there were some things that were different. I don't fully understand it. But this lady 100% conjured the voice of Samuel to Saul. Okay. Now, spiritually, what it is this is what's happening spiritually. Spiritually, Saul has removed himself from God in the sense that he's enemies with God, and he's having a conversation with himself. That's what the Spirit is talking about. He went to his flesh and is crying out to Samuel. If you can just see someone crying out to a dead relative rather than crying out to God. And then, of course, somebody would say, well, he did. It said right here that he cried out to God and he did all these things and all that. Yeah, I know. But you cannot negate the physical story just because there's a spiritual truth behind it. You can't negate it. So physically, yes, this lady conjured up the voice of Samuel, and Saul had a conversation with it. But what's really funny about it is Samuel points out to Saul, is God your enemy? Like he can tell, what are you doing? Why'd you call me up here? Oh, because God. And he says, not only am I going to continue to tell you what I already told you, but because I am a prophet, you and your sons are going to be with me tomorrow. You know, so, but this all comes back down to is, what this all comes back down to is we have an opportunity every day to separate ourselves from God by choice, thinking that you've done something so bad that God is no longer. All that he said is that he stripped the kingdom from Saul. There's no clear thing where God is telling him, you are no longer part of me. You're complete desolate. I'm going to send you to hell. Like it's not clear cut that way, that when people are saying it. But what we can see is he was very prideful. And at the very end, it just so happens we go back to these principles of a fattened calf, unleavened bread. And he received his fate, just like any man would in that situation. And you go to the story, when you go further in, you'll see that he tries to get his servant to unalive him, and the servant didn't. And so he fell sword himself, and he unalived himself. And it even talks about him being hung on the wall with his son and all these things. And there was no stopping that. There was no stopping that because God told him, and he didn't do it. Period. The end. So his kingdom will not be able to reign forever, just like God said, because he didn't do what God told him to do. But all this is to point out that no man can be king. You cannot be king of your soul, which means the only way to do that is to trust flesh. That's the only way. The only way is to trust your flesh, which means you're not using God's sight. You're using your own sight. Our ways are not his ways until we get saved. Once we become born again, then our ways become his ways because we start understanding who we are and whose we are. And so because of that, we're able to have his sight, his pleasant sight, which is Jesus. And you're starting to see Jesus everywhere because our sight has been returned to us. Before, Jesus is not everywhere. Matter of fact, you're just trying to make that Jesus. That's not Jesus. That's not what the Bible said. Don't say that it's Jesus. And then clearly it does. It just does it in a way that we're not used to seeing, that we're not used to hearing. And so it makes it hard, which is understood. And then, because there are plenty of people that will say, no, I've been teaching 40 years. I've never heard this heresy. And you're like, okay, all right. I don't see why we got to fight about it. I don't know why you hate me. I hate you because you're God's enemy. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, try. So I had to drop
um,
off because of a
yeah,
phone call. But so
yeah,
are you saying? See, so you're saying that actually was Samuel, that this woman was able to conjure up the actual spirit of Samuel?
yeah, yep,
Was that the response?
yes, mm-hmm,
Oh man.
100%. Because
But
which I'll show you the two things that will help see. Number one, when Samuel asks, or when Saul asks, what form is he? When he starts asking about the countenance, he says, it's talking about beautiful or whatever. And it says, well, it's an old man. That's all she sees. It's an old man. That's all she saw. Okay. And he's like, oh man, he knew it was him, the way she described a mantle. How do you know else? How else do you know that it was him? Because Samuel was a prophet, right?
yeah, of course.
Yeah. And he prophesied that he was going to die the next day, and he did. So he tells them, he says, look, I already told you what's going to happen. The kingdom has been stripped from you. He repeats the same thing that he's already. He repeats the same thing. Hold on. Anyway, he repeats the same thing. He confirms the same thing to Saul. He literally says, so is God your enemy? With a question mark. Like, you've got to this point, Saul, and you think God's your enemy? He's like, listen, the kingdom's not going to just be taken from you. It's going to be taken from the host and Israel. So the people that fight for Israel, Israel itself and you, But yet you come in here and you're like, God's gonna, they're coming for me. And he's like, bro, you're still missing it. There's a bigger picture here, Saul. It's not all about you. You can just tell through the conversation. He's like, dude, it's not just you. Everybody's going to the hands of the Philistines, all of Israel and the host. Don't you understand? So while he's talking to Saul this way, you can just tell that he is confirming, bro, everything I told you is true. But let me add this part. So he says it right here. Moreover, the Lord shall also deliver Israel with thee into my hand of the Philistines. And he says, and tomorrow shalt thou and thy sons be with me. Me here. And so at the very end, where it says, and upon the woman, watch this, it says, he refused. So right here in 22, 1 Samuel 28:22, it says, now therefore I pray thee, hearken thou unto, the lady is saying, I've done everything you said, but can you hearken unto my voice now, thy handmaid, and let me set a morsel of bread before thee and eat, that thou mayest have strength. Hold on a second. Okay. And he says, so now she's trying to get him to eat. Where's it at?
But
Okay.
I guess, but my
Well,
question,
let me finish real quick. So 23 says, but he refused and said, I will not eat. And if you pay attention, she's trying to get him. What kind of bread brings strength to a man? We already know he's not in strength. He's in his flesh. He's all about him. He has no strength. There's only one bread that's going to bring the strength. It says,
Bread of
it says,
life.
but he says, but yeah, exactly. He says, but the servants together with the woman, now the servants and the woman compelled him, and he hearkened unto their voice. So he arose from the earth, sat upon the bed, and the woman, watch this, had a fat calf in the house, and she hasted and killed it, took flour, kneaded it, and did bake unleavened bread. So he ate unleavened bread and a fatted calf. And throughout the whole Bible, those two things represent something very strongly, which is the gospel, the grace of God. So even here, and while we're trying to listen to what Saul is telling us, the word is telling us something else. And so the gospel is presented here at the end. Even though he understood what was going to take place, the prophet still made a prophecy. And that's one thing, and I've seen it time and time again, because there's other parts that people can't get past. But the thing that you cannot look over is the fact that he repeated the exact same thing to him about the kingdom being stripped from him. And he says, and tomorrow you will be here with me, you and your sons. So it's not about the hard words that he's going to die. He's prophesying, and it came to pass. And he's in agreement with everything that he's already said to Saul. But what were you going to say, Dre?
so what does the word tomorrow mean in the Hebrew? Like, does that mean literally the next day, or does it mean like in the future you're gonna, like, because I guess like
It
the
means
the
both.
curse, because the curse, it was like against. So now okay, let me just be completely transparent, right?
Yeah.
So now what happens is when what the apostolic churches, the Catholic churches, they'll bring this up and see, this is why we pray to the saints, because you can actually conjure up these spirits and speak to them and they can pray for you.
Okay. So this is Old Testament, right?
100%.
Okay. So on this side of the cross, what made the difference? What made the difference of everything?
That now people go into rest when they die
No,
instead
but
of
what occurred that made the difference? What made the difference?
Jesus.
Everything's changed.
Yeah,
It is different now.
yeah, Jesus.
What made that happen?
Covenant.
What?
A new covenant.
Right. With Jesus made the difference. Jesus.
Right.
So to sit here and tell people that they need to be like David, when David did not, I don't care what they say, he did not have Christ living in him the way that we do. That's why David wrote and said, blessed are them whose sins are not imputed. David's sins was still imputed on him. Period. The end. There's no refuting this. You can sit here and they can say, well, yeah, but God's grace. Well, first of all, no duh. But to sit here and say that Jesus lived on the inside of David is a complete lie. It is not true. Now we're going to talk about pre-carnated Christ. So Christ was pre-carnated before he was put in Mary's womb. No. You can't have it both ways. You can't pick and choose when Jesus was here and when he was not here, man. Jesus was either here in the Old Testament or he wasn't, or it was just shadows. And the truth, it was shadows. It was not the actual thing. That's why David wrote, blessed is he whose sins are no longer imputed. His sins were imputed on him. How is that possible if Jesus is already here? No. So you'll hear people say, dance like David. My spirit dances better than David. I'm sorry you don't like that, but you need to understand where you are. We are on this side of the cross, not that side. So what Saul was doing was on that side of the cross. Why in the world, if I have Christ living inside of me, why in the world would I be trying to speak to anybody else but him? In the Old Testament, we can understand that. Do you understand? He was not redeemed spiritually. He wasn't. The difference has to be understood. To say, oh, well, that's not right because we don't do that today, that doesn't mean that's not what they did back then, because it is different. But Jesus made the difference. They didn't have God living on the inside of them. We do. They were not the actual temple. We are. The time is completely different. So it's not true today because of Jesus. But what he did was true because there was no 100% guarantee of redemption. Was God's grace there? Obviously, you can see the gospel right here. So that doesn't mean we're done talking about it. We can talk about it some more.
That
But
makes
man,
sense. That makes sense.
we are way over.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we are way over time. Let me see. I'm gonna bring up this person. I don't know if they're gonna come up or not, but I think they've been up for a few minutes. Hey, Cross, what's going on? Hello. Marana, Cross, you there? Can you hear us?
Maria.
Or maybe not.
Hermana Maria.
I thank you for overtime today, brother. God bless. God bless, Mike. Yeah, we're about to bounce off. Let me see if I can unmute. Cross, you have your mic is muted. Can you unmute?
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. What's on your mind?
I was just listening.
Oh, is there
I
something
think she
you wanted
came up
to?
on accident, bro. I think she came up on accident.
Yeah, I came up on accident.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, no worries. Guys, we're going to go ahead and bounce off. We usually get off at 10. It's already 12. So I gotta hop off. If anybody's got anything to say it now or forever hold your peace.
Have a good one, guys.
All right. And Benny over there singing himself. Benny, we see you, bro. We see you singing, bro. All right, man, guys. We'll see y'all in the morning, man. God bless.
Thank
God bless.
you.